this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming.
And I'm Chris George.
We are here at the World Series of Board Gaming in Vegas, doing an almost live commentary on the finals for Terraforming Mars.
Almost live. Almost live is a good way to describe it. This was filmed at the event, and we are adding on to the commentary to see who is going to take home the $2,000 Terraforming Mars Ring Championship, become the Ring finalist, and head on into the semifinals, which, if you've seen some coverage of the semifinals, maybe you know who it is, maybe you don't, maybe it's a mystery. I guess we'll find out in this recording.
But we're going to see some great Terraforming Mars play here, something that, is at a level that I could never achieve. I would come in dead last with this group of people. That goes for saying. Are you an expert at Terraforming Mars, Chris? What would you say?
I am certainly not an expert at Terraforming Mars. I think I might come below your dead last.
Is there a possibility?
But I appreciate the strategy, and I'm really excited to watch these titans of Terraforming Mars go head to head and see who takes home the prize. I think we're in for a pretty cool game.
This is going to be great. It's going to be a bigger game than a lot of the games that we did do the commentary on, right? We did it for Acquire. We did it for Seven Wonders. This is going to be a big one. Let's see how this all plays out.
All right, let's head to the table, I guess.
Red, check one.
So here we are. We're taking a look at the table as it is being set up. The players have already drafted, I believe. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, that's true. They've drafted all of their initial corporations, and they've drafted all of their Prelude cards as well. And so they're just putting the final touches on solidifying what they're going to pick, and then they'll be revealing to us their corporations that they've chosen and the Prelude expansion. I guess it's worth mentioning that we are playing with the Prelude expansion.
Right, we are playing base Terraforming Mars, so none of the other expansions except Prelude, and we're playing on the original board, not on Hellas and Elysium, one of those boards. So you'll be familiar with the milestones and the awards as they are claimed, and we'll talk about, as they claim them, and if they're a good idea to be claiming, we'll be able to see how that all plays out as time goes on.
I'm excited to play against awesome players. It's going to be a lot of fun, and for sure.
So I just want to point out that was Robert Krier.
Player number one.
We have a list here of who's playing exactly.
Player number one, reveal your corporation.
Literally just wished everybody a good game. I mean, the sportsmanship is great. And let's get over now. Antony.
I'm going to tell you guys.
Saccenti, I feel.
Saccenti, who's playing red, has just revealed Valley Trust as his corporation.
Feel free to.
And what's kind of exciting about Valley Trust as the corporation is that it is a Prelude corporation. This was added in the Prelude expansion, and
if everyone's playing with Trust, I don't care. Okay. All right.
And it does give bonuses on Prelude cards. As your first action, I believe you're going to draw 3 Prelude cards and be able to play one.
And get an additional one. And he helps with science tags as well.
Yeah.
Moving ahead to seat number 2, we have Levi Moreno. He's playing green, and he's chosen the Mining Guild. So the Mining Guild gives you an effect every time you get any steel or titanium as a placement bonus. You also get to go up on your steel production 1 step.
Essentially, you're going to see him playing a lot of cards with the building tags. That's going to be a biggie for him, obviously. Now we got Calvin Quan playing yellow, Tharsis Republic. Obviously, one of the more popular corporations probably out there that people play. Always great to see a city hit the table turn 1. I mean, that's my favorite thing to see happen with the game.
And then moving along to seat 4, we have Jobe, who's playing black, and he's playing Chungshing Mars, which gives him a discount for every building tag. Whenever you play a building tag, you play $2 less for it. And that's going to be pretty huge in terms of him going for that building milestone as one of the original ones. He can probably get there first because he also starts with a building tag on his corporation.
And in seat 5, we've mentioned Robert Krier playing blue. He's playing Point Luna, who gives, 1 titanium production to start, and when you play an earth tag, including this one, you draw a card. So we're going to see, obviously, Earth tags coming out of Robert frequently.
Put this card right here.
What's really exciting to me, especially as someone who's played a lot of the base Terraforming Mars, is that 3 of the 5 corporations that are chosen that were drafted at the beginning are in the Prelude expansion, which is, I think that's kind of interesting and shows the different types of strategies that expansion can bring.
I got 5.
Yeah, certainly they're very strong corps. So seeing several people pick them makes a lot of sense.
And so right now what the players are doing is they're choosing how many cards of their initial hand to keep, and it costs $3 from their starting corporation bank. Every corporation has a certain amount of money that they get to keep, and it costs $3 for them to keep their starting hand, which will provide the basis of their engine and the basis of their fate in this game.
Yep.
While we have a second, let's mention that our GM today is Eugene Yee. And we also have our friend Brian, who's basically backing us up on the whiteboard, I guess you can say, the way that we did it live streaming when we did it in Las Vegas. So he'll be feeding us little tidbits in our ear so that we can get and talk to you. Oh, what happened here?
So now we're starting with they've chosen they are revealing their preludes, and Antony Saccenti is starting off with the great Aquafire, immediately putting out 2 oceans onto the board and getting their placement bonuses as well. That's a pretty significant start, because
that's literally my favorite, maybe second favorite Prelude card out there. Big one.
Well, I have a feeling I know what your favorite Prelude card is. I feel like it is the eccentric sponsor for any of those who you might recognize Stephen Bonacor's face. It certainly has a striking familiarity to
to that card. It might.
Maybe.
Wow. Let's point out that 3 of the 9 oceans have hit the board before turn 1.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
have a feeling. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here to say that we're going to see all 9 oceans out pretty quickly in this game.
At least some point during the game. But for those of you who don't know, that is one of the triggers to the end of the game. In order for the game to end, there must be all 9 oceans on the board. You must raise the heat to the top of its track, and you also must raise the oxygen to the top of its track. Then you have Terraform Mars, and whoever has Terraformed Mars the best and has achieved the most points will take home the title of Terraforming Mars World Series Champion of 2022.
2 credit income? So I go from
We're seeing that first city hit the table from Tharsis Republic. Calvin's played it in probably the single most juicy area on the board. That's a place that everybody loves to get a city, because you've got greenery bonus, the ability to put greenery all around it, and great bonuses when placing that greenery. Of course, I like to screw people over, and I'll start bombing those areas with asteroids and things like that.
Yeah, I think that was actually played by Levi in green. So even in the first 2 preludes, we got 3 oceans on the board and one city.
Oh, wow, that's right. So, and we're going to see another. So the first turn, that's right. We're going to see Calvin in yellow playing a city as well. So
for sure, because
it
goes.
We're getting a lot of that board filled up quickly.
This is exciting. Even just to see these initial decisions, how they chose the corporations and the prelude, I believe was through a draft. Although I'll get Brian to double check that for us.
Draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was a draft that happened in order to get the combo of your prelude card and your corporation.
Yeah, we are playing the full draft variant here, of course, which is everybody's preferred way, basically, of playing Terraforming Mars. It just gives you more control. There's more strategy when you do. So therefore, you would always select 2, be dealt 2 corps, select 1, be dealt 4 prelude, select 2, and then start playing them.
What's exciting about what Jake just played was the Mining Operation Prelude card. It has another building tag. It gives him 2 steel production and 4 steel, so that's going to really help him with his discount to if he has enough building tags in his hand to really come out of the gate with a strong push at the beginning.
There's 8.
So, Chris, did you say you're not as familiar with playing with Prelude? Is that
I'm not. Yeah, I got my copy of Terraforming Mars used, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And friends that I have all of the different expansions. So when I play with them, I have my expansion desire satiated. And then when I play at home, I'm like, it's fine, I can play base, because I think the base Terraforming Mars is still just a really solid game. I'll often play with everybody gets 1 production of everything, as recommended in the rules as like a shorter game. But yeah.
Yeah, I know that is. I don't normally do that, but I always play with Prelude. I like to say that Prelude subtracts about 15 minutes from the game and definitely jumpstarts the entire game. It's like almost starting in Generation 3.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to think about Prelude. I think it's, and everybody that I know says it's the must-have expansion for Terraforming Mars.
Well, for those viewers at home who may not know this, Stephen, you actually were integral in bringing Terraforming Mars to life. Do you want to talk a little bit about that while we still get set up?
Sure. Well, as the founder, owner, and president of Stronghold Games, I was able to work with Fricks Games, a small design house out in Sweden. They wanted to bring the game out in 2015. We thought the game was good. We decided that together that if we worked on it with them for another year, did some more development, we would take it from good to great. And I think in the end, our extra development that we did definitely paid off, because the game was obviously a smash hit from its release and is, now ranked number 5 and has held that top portion of the top 10 games on Board Game Geek for all that time. So
long
very
time.
proud. This was essentially my my magnum opus, I guess you could say, of games that I brought out in the hobby.
See it.
It's going to give 1 titanium production and 1 steel production from the mining build.
Yeah, we're just hearing a word from Brian saying, enough of that, talking about how fantastic Stephen Bonacore is. Let's talk about Antony playing the Pets card turn 1, which is a huge card to play at the beginning of the game. It flashed up on the screen, but basically anytime a city is played, a little pet is added to the Pets card. And because this is at the very beginning of the game and we know there's going to be a bunch of cities, this card can rack up a ton of points, especially being played as the first move of the game. It's a huge investment in the future, which is cool to see. It makes sense to play on turn 1 because it's going to yield you a lot of stuff down the line. Although by spending your money on the pets at the very beginning, you potentially don't spend the money on moving your own production tracks up and down, which I don't know. I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Any of those cards that adds secondary resources, you'd call them, or you add tokens to the card, are usually better if you can get them out early in the game. So yeah, getting out pets right now, fantastic. I think we just saw Levi playing green and the Mining Guild. I believe we saw him play that like phosphoric moss. Is that what the card is?
Nitrophilic moss.
So which has a requirement of
3 oceans.
3 oceans. So I mean, the fact that he had the card in his hand before he knew there would be 3 oceans, right? I mean,
that's true.
I mean, that's tremendous, right? He got a little lucky there.
That's true. He was banking on somebody playing the Great Aquafire. Maybe he saw that in the draft and saw, okay, someone is going to take this. I'm not taking it, but I know somebody will. And then was able to decide, okay, I will keep this card because I know I can activate it immediately and get those plant resources that can then turn into forests on the board. That could be a pretty exciting play. Or forethought, right? That I certainly it certainly is exciting to me to realize these things as better players than I.
So,
play them.
absolutely. So maybe we need another clarification from Brian here. Now, I don't normally. You do not draft your corpse. You do not draft your Prelude cards. You're dealt them and you select. So I don't know if they changed that for this, Brian. Yes. So they use the standard rules. Brian's telling us they use the standard rules of being dealt them. So this is a fortuitous moment for him that he was able to get that card out.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, because he would not have known there were going to be 3 oceans on the board that early in the game.
And also, just going back, we're now on Jake's turn, but Calvin, like you said, Stephen, played a city turn 1. There is a city on the board from Calvin, and that makes sense with the Tharsis Republic. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be constantly playing those cities and bumping up his income and making that sweet money.
And did we also say we have to?
And he's going to be racking in those pet points.
Anthony will, certainly.
Anthony will. Sorry about that.
We're now over to Brian, who's played the Business Network. This is a blue card. I believe this is our first blue card that we've seen. And the blue cards, for those viewers who may not be aware, these are constant actions that you can now take throughout the game.
Ongoing effect, or an action that, as one of your 2 actions that you get on your turn, you must take 1 action. You may take a second action. So this can be taken as either one of those. And in this case, he's going to be looking at the top card and buying it or discarding it. So he's going to be doing a lot of going through the draw pile to get new projects. Projects are what all of the cards in your hand are called.
Pass for the game.
Wow. Antony passes. So he played the pets card, and then he's passing for the generations. So that's the only thing that that he was able to get out on the board in terms of cards for this first generation. And I believe Levi passed as well, because we're on to Calvin playing Rover Construction, which is a huge combo for the Tharsis Republic.
Plus 23.
I'm excited about the number of cities that look like we're going to see in this game. I love a crowded city board, even more than seeing a crowded greenery board, which of course people, there's the greenery strategy is what people had called the dominant strategy for a long time. If you get a lot of greeneries out, you can really rack up victory points. Terraforming rating points, same thing. But here we're seeing an inordinate amount of cities in the first turn.
And especially with that Rover card that Calvin played a little bit earlier, he's now going to get, every time he places his own city, he'll get $5 back, making the discount on cities for him very significant.
I will pass.
Calvin also passes.
I believe it was Robert that played the blue card to give him an action, as an action. I wish I could roll back to it. I had it there in my head.
He played Media Group, which every time you play an event card, you gain $3. That was the last card Robert played. And
love that one, especially when you're going for because there is a strategy to just play events and just play lots of events that you can get out. So that hopefully we'll see him developing something along those lines.
Now we're just down to actions between Jake and Robert, because all 3 of the first 3 players have played it. And we see Jake now playing this building tag for free. Really, he got the Earth Catapult out early as well, so now he's got a huge discount on anything that has a building tag. He has 4 off these building tags. And also, him and Robert started with, as Brian was saying, they started with a little bit more resources due to their Prelude actions. So you can see the effect of that in them both being able to play more actions while the other people have to wait until the next generation to get their income.
It's a good time to point out that's anybody who's played the game before will not recognize that there's like a white piece of paper, a white sheet that's above their player board. Chris, tell us about that.
Yeah, so for the World Series of Board Gaming, certain standards have to be put into practice because they are playing for a large prize pot, and it's different from playing a game just at your home, right? You want to have some standard of how you pay for things, make sure people are paying the right amount. It's very easy for you to lose track or throw in an extra cube, especially in Terraforming Mars, where all of the cubes, the resources are the same color because there's so many different resources that you can get. The resources just have value points, and so it's where you put them on your player board that indicates what of that resource type you have. So the little the sheet above the players area is to show where they play their card, how much they're paying for it, what they're getting in return, and just shows that everybody can double check that nobody's made a mistake, nobody has accidentally paid too much or too little, and it's just to make sure that that play proceeds fairly and you don't run into those little mistakes that don't matter when you're playing for house rules, but matter when you're playing for a shot at $25,000.
Yes, exactly. So it's a staging area to show people what I'm paying this for the card. Everyone's okay. Boom, you do it. Doesn't take more than a couple of extra seconds, but it really helps to ensure that no mistakes, or as few possible mistakes happen. We're getting into Generation 2 here. As you can see, the judge has actually counted out the cards that he's going to be dealing to all the players right now, and he's just double checking them. Everything's double and triple checked, of course.
And what they're doing right now is they're getting their income as well. And so every generation, you get your income based on the 6 tracks that are on your board. You have your credits, your steel production, your titanium production, your forest or greenery production, your energy production, and then your heat production.
Yellow.
It's a good time to remind players that might not be as familiar with the game, which there aren't that many there, but Terraforming Mars, in its essence, is a 6 resource management, card-driven Euro game. I mean, that's a lot of words there, but you've got to manage those 6 resources. Plus, you have to also manage the resource of cards. Cards are a resource as well in the game, and how you get them, how you draft them, how you pay for them. So there's a lot going on in the management of how you have to create your engine. Should have added that word in there too, engine building, to create the engine with your resources to get that going, to then get out the cards. And cards drive the game, right? If you only get certain types of cards, you're going to play a completely different strategy than you possibly want to play.
For sure, and that's what they're doing right now, is at the beginning of each generation, they also get 4 cards that you then get to draft and choose what you're going to keep, or have the option of keeping. You're still going to need to pay to keep each one of these cards, but you can have the choice of either taking something for yourself or denying your neighbor, whoever you're passing to, depending upon the state of the game and what you particularly need or don't need from that set of cards. If you get a hand of cards that don't relate to your particular strategy, then you have to look around the table and see, well, what is everybody else going for? Which one should I make sure end up in the discard pile and not into my opponent's hands as well?
Keep one past the rest.
So they're going through that process right now, and I know in this cut that we're watching, we'll watch the first initial draft and give us a chance to talk about things. But then, for the sake of and up on the screen right now, you can see the cards that each player has played into the first round. So we have Antony over in player 1, who just played the pets. Then we have Levi in player 2, who played the mining area and nitrophilic moss. Calvin with Protected Valley and Rover Construction, again going with that Tharsis Republic strategy. And then you see when we hit player 4, Jake, the amount of cards that Jake has managed to play in that first round is just, it's mind-boggling to me.
That is a humongous number of cards to play in round 1. He played small ball, as you can see, right?
True.
The average cost of these cards, besides if you throw out Earth Catapult, the average cost of the rest of those cards is like 5 really low card values. But you get enough of those things out early on, and you can get a really nice engine running.
And I wonder if he picked up Earth Catapult in his invention contest pull, because if he had had it beforehand, he likely would have played it to discount the invention contest to nothing. So that might be a huge play as his first pull. He also has 4 building tags, and then he has 2 additional building tags with his Prelude and Corporation. So as you can see at the bottom of the board there, they're the milestone section and the awards. He is 2 away from claiming that Builder Award milestone and just getting 5 points. So right now, I believe they're deciding how many cards of the ones that they've drafted that they are going to keep. Or they're still in their drafting phase. It looks like Calvin has 3 cards in his hand, and he's still deciding, and he's passing 2 cards to Levi. Yeah, so they're still in their drafting phase.
Right. So each round, and as Chris mentioned, players are dealt 4 cards. They'll look at them, and they will either pass to the left or the right, depending on what generation, what game turn that they're in. So this in generation 2, they are passing to the right.
On the whiteboard.
And then, once they decide how many of the 4 that they draft, they have to pay 3 mega credits for each one to keep them.
Ready?
Oh, we're only in the second round. I am very excited. This makes me want to get out my copy of Terraforming Mars, other than the one that I have here to track in front of me to help track the cards. It makes me want to get it out and play it pretty much immediately. This is a fun game.
I think I'm going to bring out the digital version of it this
Nice.
afternoon and get my butt kicked by the AIs that are very well done there. So, and little thanks to Chris here for actually going through all of this production work. As you can see, all those cards laid out there, he went and he put there so that we can get a view of the cards that the players have. And I guess soon we're going to see this over time. Is that correct, Chris? We're going to see this as the game progresses?
As the game progressed, there become so many cards to keep track of that this is sort of scrap. But I wanted to make sure to have an initial look at that first generation and see what everybody played, especially during this time where the drafting phase is happening and we have a little bit of time to talk about it. But in order to keep it, short and sweet and snappy, getting all the action-packed goodness of Terraforming Mars that we possibly can. I was saying this a little bit before, but I cut myself off when these cards came up. We're going to skip past the production phases and the drafting phases of the next generations and just get on to the action and see how players use the cards that they have chosen.
Wait. If you were paying attention, you might have noticed that player 5, Robert, playing blue, he actually played 3 of the blue cards. Now, you don't normally see that so quickly, and there's a reason, because they'll give you all these extra actions, but they don't necessarily build the engine. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as he goes forward.
Yellow.
That's true. To recap, he's got Business Network, where you can look at the top card to buy it or discard it. He has the Media Group, which just gives him additional money back when he plays events, but he has to have the money to pay for the event. And then he also had Psychrophiles. Yep, that's what it is. I said it correctly. Where you can add a microbe to the card, and then when you're paying for a plant card, microbes can be used here as two money. So at least most of his cards are good for generating resources back or generating money back or discounts moving forward.
It's going to be interesting to see how many, I don't think we know exactly how many they're buying here. And it definitely has a big impact on your economy moving forward. If you buy too many cards and they're just sitting there dead in your hand, that's going to have a big impact later on. If you buy too many expensive cards and you can't get them out, that's going to be a problem too. So
that's true. So we're starting with Levi as first player in this round. I think we were talking over when they were keeping cards, but I think No one kept 4 cards.
Ooh, a big kahuna comes out here. Demos down. This is the card I love to play on people. It costs 31 to put out.
That's
It is
huge.
an event card, a red card, an event card. It's going to raise the temperature by 3. That's those 3 there at the side. So that's 3 victory points, 3 extra on the temperature. Anything he gains on the left side of the temperature track, he's also going to gain. He's gained at least 1 extra heat production. It's also going to give him 3 steps. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 steel, just 4 steel, and it's going to destroy 8 plants from 1 player. It's a mean card.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
And I believe he chose Robert because Robert had the most plants because of his supply drop prelude card that he played in the beginning.
Not like that under your corporation. Go.
That's a good one.
That's, yeah, you can see why it costs that much because it allows for a big swing.
So that's another one of those that's very hard to get out early, of course, because you just don't have the economy yet to do that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was able to afford it, honestly.
He obviously held back money,
Yeah.
mega credits from the first generation, which makes a lot of sense because, maybe you had a big card that you had drafted one, or you were getting ready to draft one. He probably had the card, said to himself, I'm going to hold back so I can play this card.
And there we see Calvin placing another city on the board. First generation, he places a city. Second generation, first move, he places a city.
Wow.
But it's pretty incredible because anytime he places a city, not only does his income track go up by 1, he gets $5 back with the combo of his corporation and rover construction.
He's probably pretty happy with this combo.
I don't see how Calvin doesn't immediately get the mayor milestone.
Cards cost 2 less. Catapult.
Well, he does have 3 out there now, right? Isn't that it?
I think he has 2 out. He has 2 out.
He has 2. Okay. Well, he's setting himself up quickly to.
Oh yeah, I don't see how anyone else catches him unless they have some cards that can put some quick cities out there. Man, I'm just so blown away by the amount of cards that Jake has compared to everybody else. Jake has 8 cards currently played, and the closest competitor has 3 with both Levi and Robert, although Robert's yet to play. Oh, make that 9 cards.
Whoa! Is he bringing out another city?
Noctis City.
And that is Noctis City, the most famous city on Mars, of course, if anybody knows. I believe it's the only named city. It's not even the capital. There is a capital on Mars in this game, but Noctis City is the only named city. So he's bringing out another city, and he's getting the Noctis City
placement bonus as well with the 2.
And he's allowed to play this. It's a permission, or is it mandatory to play it next to another city? I forgot.
I think it's mandatory.
It always goes there. So it always goes onto that spot. Now, normally in Terraforming Mars, you may not play 2 cities next to each other. Unless there's a card effect. That's one of them. There's also the urbanized zone where you can play multiple cities next to each other. But that actually hurt substantially Calvin. Because Calvin, I believe, right? He was the one who played that city in that
Levi. I think Levi that was Levi's only city on the board.
Okay, so that's going to hurt Levi, but at the same time, the 2 of them are going to kind of help each other by placing greenery around those cities. So it's a good bad thing that just happened for Levi. Mostly bad. All right, another one of my favorite cards, right? You're going to increase your heat production. For only 7.
I feel like all of these cards, all cards have got to be your favorite cards, Steven.
It might be. Well, it's funny because some cards I gravitate toward playing them more. They're easier. You know, my strategies, again, I would say that I am at best an average player of this game. And that's being gracious to myself. So, you know, I gravitate toward the easier strategies, and I gravitate toward the easier cards to understand. Some of these cards have got all these wild effects. They double, they do this. I'm like, you know, it's too many things I have to think about. I'm not picking that card.
Give me the
But a
one-time
card
bonus, and I'm good.
you're right. I get extra heat production. I get three more heat, 7 only to cost. I love it. Let's put that one out immediately. Quick check on the score there. We'll see that all but Jake has gone up on the terraforming rating track.
Which is surprising considering the amount of cards that Jake has played. Although Robert is really catching up, especially by playing this mohole area. I feel like this might be this might be the third card he's actually played in this turn, which I don't think is allowed. But maybe I missed something, or it also should be pointing out. I should point out that this started around 8 p.m. and they've been playing Terraforming Mars in their tournament since 9 a.m. in the morning, and the Terraforming Mars games have been running very long. So I doubt these players have had much breaks. Not only is this a tense game, but they are running on an endurance competition of playing Terraforming Mars for the last 12 hours and are now forced to play for the final.
It's interesting to point out that, that's the special mole hole tile. Say that 3 times fast. There's about 13, 14 special tiles in the game that when that card is played, you bring out the associated tile, and it counts as another owned property on the board. As you can see, he marked it with his blue marker. And it gives him that benefit and any adjacency benefits that he might get later.
Take that money, yeah.
And this is really nice. What just happened is Robert said, "Oh shoot, I forgot to take my $3 back for playing that event. I know I've already played something else, but is it okay if I go back and take that $3?" And people could be very large sticklers about that in this tournament setting and say, listen, you've played another card and moved on. But again, talking about that great sportsmanship at the table, they say, yeah, like, we get it. We've been playing for 12 hours. You just missed it. It's still your turn. Take your $3. Like, we're all cool with it.
Yep.
Which
I think people would like to win against the player playing correctly, not against a fluke that they just happen to forget something.
100%. But I love to see that. I love to see that. We've seen that a lot throughout this tournament of people just being really generous in sportsmanship and really generous in terms of allowances at the table, and it embodies the spirit of the hobby, I feel, and so that's what I love to see while watching this pack.
I found that throughout the entire World Series of Board Gaming that people were just great sports, and that was wonderful.
Celsius cooler, which it is. Costs 2 less because of the metal, so it costs 10. Making the plants.
Yeah, you know, wow. This is an interesting card. Chris, I mean, is this card going to pay back? Explain this card.
Well, yeah, Jake's playing this Arctic Algae, which triggers on oceans. So anytime an ocean is placed, he gets 2 plants, which is great. But because of the Preludes, there's only 9 oceans total, and 3 of them have been played. So maximum, he's getting 12 plants back, which is 1.5 forests. So it depends if that will yield enough dividends for him or not. But he does get 1 plant for playing it, and it only cost him $12, 10 with his Earth Catapult. So $10 for 12 plants down the line, that feels okay.
Yep. You know, one of the things that when I was thinking about how their strategies were going to unfurl, think about the milestones. They're easy, right? You get it, you just get it, you take an action, you claim it. But those awards, you have to fund an award.
It's true.
To say, I want that to happen at the end of the game. So when are people going to do that? And are they going to take the risk of funding an award if, for could be like 20, it could cost you a lot to fund an award, especially late. And will they be able to get that award in the end? It's taking a big risk by doing it. That's what I'm thinking to myself.
Yeah, because there's no worse feeling than funding an award for 20 credits only to have somebody swoop in with a card that puts them in the first position and knocks you out of those 5 points that award is worth.
Painful.
And so everybody has finished Gen 2. That is the end of Gen 2. As we can see, the judge, Eugene, is dealing out the cards once again, and the players are beginning to take their production as well. Who do you think's a front runner right now, Steven? Put your money on someone.
You want me to put my money on someone, huh?
Well, just based on the state of the board, for me, it's still it's still Jake. For me, he's just gotten so many cards out. Although he hasn't moved up on his terraforming rating at all, which is surprising based around his cards.
I'm going to take Calvin with Tharsis Republic right now. I think that he's been able to get a lot of cities out there early on, and now he'll capitalize on that work.
Yeah.
It's good to get, you get a bunch of oceans out and stuff like that, but, cities are yours, right? That they're not a shared thing. So I think that he's going to be able to capitalize on that long term.
Especially if he manages to scoop up all the good places on the board where cities go, and then everyone has to just put down forests and give him points anytime they do, which in a 5-player game could be fairly significant.
Yep. It's going to be a crowded board by definition of what we've seen so far and the 5-player game.
Marker should be Calvin, right?
They're passing the first player marker because Calvin will be the first player for this generation. They're still doing their production. And here we can see the state of the board. Yeah, Calvin with 2 cities, Levi with 1 city in green, and then Jake with 1 city, Noctis City, in black.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then that mohole is claimed by Robert in blue, but it won't really score points. The mohole doesn't score points like a city.
It does not.
What's then the, if you know, I wonder what's the reason for even having to place a blue token to claim those sorts of tiles when
there are cards and there are bonuses that you can get with cards that will be based on the total amount of owned locations on Mars. So that is his location,
right.
Even though, and he got bonuses just for playing the card, of course. Then he puts that down, he claims it, and if later on he needs to have X number of owned pieces of land, that would count. Plants are also played. When you play down plants, you have to play it next to when you play tiles. Unless there's a specific place, you have to play it next to an existing piece of land that you already have. So that's going to determine that he's going to be able to place around that area, and that definitely is a very good area there in the center of the board. Oh! What do we got here? Another biggie. Immigration shuttles for 31 points.
Wow.
ME goes up by 5. That's your mega credit production going up by 5, and he's going to get 1 victory point for every 3rd city in play. How good is that in this game right now?
That is a huge play by Tharsis Republic.
That's Calvin, right? That's city
Calvin.
Guy right now.
Calvin, the city guy.
See, I told you.
Hey.
I picked him.
You might know a thing or two about this game.
You made me pick somebody.
Jake again going for those discounts that only cost him $3 with his Earth Catapult and the discount from his corporation. I wonder, Brian, if we happen to have a count on what Calvin's current credit income is. I don't know if you've been keeping track of that.
So all cards cost 2 less, building tax cost 2 less, so base 21.
Brian's saying he's around the 30s right now, which makes sense because he got 5 income from his from just playing that card, 3 from his starting corporation, and then he's gotten 2 every time he's played a city. So that puts him right at 30. And I mean, talking about those awards, I think we could see Calvin funding the banker milestone, because especially with the amount of cities that are going to be placed and his strategy, that seems like something for Tharsis Republic to be interested in right now.
Right, but you wouldn't do it early in the game.
True.
Because you just never know what's going to happen. Awards are absolutely something that you have to keep track of. Okay, I'm doing great in my mega credit production, therefore I want to become the banker, get that award. But if you do it now, you're not only putting money out there that you might need right now, you might as well just sit back, wait, and then jump on it if you see other awards getting funded. Then you're going to want to get it in play, because only 3 awards can be funded in the game.
And this is a big card that's just been played by Robert. I bet it's one of your favorite cards, Steven.
One of my favorite cards of all time here is the Giant Ice Asteroid. 2 on heat, on the temperature, 2 more oceans, and you get to bomb someone's plants.
Wow.
Another mean card, but I mean a really effective card if you can get this out.
So it goes 2 up on the track, and that crosses. He gets a free heat production for that as well, because he crossed the threshold. And then he gets to put 2 oceans.
And then put that somewhere else. Too tired. I'm gonna get my 4 here. Could have had 2 coins. So I knew I was doing this, but I will take those 4 plants. Let's look at 2. Take my plants.
And he's taking some plants, and he's not going to remove them from himself.
No, he's not.
Oh, Levi's pointing out that he can destroy the plants of Jake. Wow.
Poor Jake left the table to go to the bathroom. And he's getting his plants destroyed.
Good pointing out by Levi. Levi said, "Hey, listen, I'm not in the lead right now. Look at all the cards that Jake has played. I've only played 3. Why don't you target him?" And Robert was like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense." And he got those plants from the Arctic algae card, which might have paid off, but just now it seems it's made him even more of a target. That is when he wasn't there to defend himself.
I think that he would have done it anyway.
I think he would have done it anyway. It's hard to, like, for me, it seems with Jake coming so strong out of the gate, he would be the obvious target as well.
So a buddy of mine, Chad, he's like my big gaming buddy back from New Jersey. He wins this game every time, and he wins it because of cards like this, Tropical Resort. Not because this card is, you have to lose 2 on your heat, and you gain on mega credits. But he wins it because that card is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And he will literally have 20 victory points stashed up in his pile of cards at the end of the game, crushing me every time. So this is not my favorite card, Chris. I don't like this card because my buddy Chad beats me on it all the time.
We found one that that meets that criteria. Yeah, and talking about points that on the cards as well, Antony seems to be doing a similar strategy. He's got the discount for science, but as you can see, that one's got a little point on it. We know he has the pets that's going to just be drawing things over and over.
I mean, there's a lot to say about being, stealthy, so staying out of people's radar for various things, and all of a sudden at the end you drop down all those pets, you drop down those victory point cards.
Yeah.
And look at this. He has another card that you'd never
Wow.
ever see this early in the game. What are we in? We're in generation.
We're in generation 3. Yeah.
And we're seeing a card played that requires 5 oceans, which we just happen to have exactly 5 oceans. So this was drafted specifically knowing that oceans were going to become a thing very soon. And there we go.
Maybe Antony saw the giant ice asteroid. Which way were they passing this round? Clockwise or counterclockwise?
Really where you want to be.
I'm not sure. If they were passing
Generation 3,
counterclockwise.
I think Generation 3 should have gone in
Clockwise,
standard
yeah.
clockwise rotation.
So because Robert had the giant ice asteroid, oh, Jake's coming back to learn that all of his plants are gone.
Oh.
Does this resolve after that?
This goes first, so the triggers happen, and then this goes after.
Okay. On the obviously the Steam.
On the Steam,
Steam,
yeah, that's not
that's
how that
where
works. But
okay.
that is how that works, yeah. But that's not how
Okay.
it's actually supposed to be.
Okay.
Or for the 6 classes. I know because I had that happen in my first round. It was the same.
Interesting.
I also.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Some clarifications from the GM and
I learned the
confirmations
hard
from
way.
players. GM,
I
of
was
course,
able to walk
always
it out and look at it.
not only knows the rules cold, but he arbitrates any
Benefits of the player's
situations. Jake needed a clarification there. He's been giving it. The players
Yeah,
in.
no,
Yeah, that's interesting. And according to Levi, he said it's different from the Steam version. On Steam, it would just automate and everything would happen at the same time. But when you are playing, the triggers resolve in order. And so he did get the plants, and then the -6 plants was able to happen. So it didn't have to all happen at the same time. Which is interesting. It's a good clarification to make, and Levi was also saying that it happened to him on his first round, and he was able to recover because he's here in the finals. So
$2.
I still have faith in my pick of Jake.
$2.
So notice that I'm not sure who played it. We'll see the color. Is that?
Yeah, we'll see. Looks like it's Levi.
That's Levi playing green. He used the standard project, meaning he just paid straight out, I believe it's 25 mega credits, to just simply place a city on the board. Doesn't happen very often, especially early, because doing the standard projects cost more per thing you're doing than playing the cards, right? That's sort of a way of getting something to happen that you need to have happen versus I got the card to make it happen, so it's cheaper that way. So he wanted to get a city out, and he placed it next to an ocean. Placing anything next to an ocean gives you 2 mega credits. Just 2 regular mega credits goes to your bank.
So you get kind of a kickback. Yeah, we see now he just placed his cube.
Yep. You gotta wonder if Levi thinks he can take Calvin to get the 3rd city. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe on his next turn, and Calvin's playing right now. Okay,
Calvin's gone through. Now it's on to Jake. Yeah.
Oh, because
he had that big play with the immigration shuttle, so that probably wiped his a lot of his funding out.
Prediction. Minor prediction. On Levi's turn, he places another city, and he claims the milestone for mayor.
Wow, that would be a pretty huge upset for Tharsis Republic. Now we're on to Robert. It depends if Levi has any more credits to commit this round, but Jake will be first player to go in the next round, so Levi will still get an opportunity to play before Calvin if Calvin has passed.
So that's almost certainly what he was. Okay, so yeah, my prediction's probably not going to come true, but it looks like Levi will have another opportunity to do what I just said
Right.
in the next round, and he will do it because he'll get all of his production. He'll get all of the mega credits. He will drop that down, then claim
And then
mayor,
fund the
and
event,
that's 5
the
victory
milestone.
points right there. That's huge.
Wow.
5
That
victory
would
points.
that would
big.
be a pretty good play.
So
It'd be pretty clutch.
that's a whole nother level of Terraforming Mars, ladies and gentlemen, right there. It's like too cool for me.
You got to watch the board, right? You got to watch what's going on the board, as well as managing your own cards, as well as having some knowledge of what the other players' cards might be. And all of these players are at a level where for sure they know every card in the deck. They know every single one that exists out there, and they know the potentials that other people might be playing them.
I'm going to take a guess that Calvin is not very happy right now. I'm just going to, that's my, I'm looking at him and I'm like, I bet he's not a happy man.
Everyone else has passed. Blue.
This is Robert again getting another blue card, really going for those ongoing effects. He has 5 of them right now.
It's a very interesting strategy to basically.
I was the last one, so I just wanted to add.
You're going to be getting a lot of extra actions by taking this kind of strategy. All those blue cards are actions. So you have to pay for some of those actions, but some you don't. So you're just going to be getting a lot of extra actions that when people have passed, you're still tapping cards to do more and more and more things. So he's banking on that being a winning strategy for him.
And that's exactly what we're seeing happening right now. Is they're about to do their income, and you saw Robert go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have all of these actions that I need to use before passing. Is that okay if I do them?" And again, everyone at the table was like, "Oh yeah, you're obviously going to do those actions. You're obviously going to save them until the very end because only you can access them. So you need to prioritize things on the board and placement before getting to those." So again, just showcasing that. Both the actions happening and the lovely people who are playing at this final. And so Robert's other 2 cards were Advanced Alloys, which basically gives him more. His steel and titanium are worth more, and then he just played Industrial Center, where he can manually pay money to move his tracks up the board. His steel track specifically. And this is the state of the board. Yeah, Levi at 2 cities, Jake at 1 city, Calvin at 2 cities.
4.
We see Antony's on the board now as well with I believe his Natural Preserve. And that'll give him a place to start building out his forests. 34 income for Antony, which is pretty good. I always find I never have enough money in this game to do what I want to do.
Isn't that life, Chris? Isn't that life?
Terraforming Mars is the most realistic board game out there.
It's up there.
Only 27 credits for Levi.
I'm just going to take a 5.
27 is not bad at this time. Not good either.
Yeah, he's getting some steel, but also if he wanted to do that standard production and then fund the milestone, he would need 33 credits to do that as his first turn. And only 27 doesn't give him that opportunity. Unless he had some stored up from later. Or from previous rounds.
Okay. Remove your pass markers. Your whiteboard. Black
I still think he's going to be dropping that city. First turn.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He's going to go city, claim the milestone. I didn't see how much money he's got left, though, to do this.
Yeah.
He needs, if he doesn't have a card, he needs 32 mega credits to do that play. 25 for the standard project to build a city, 8 more to claim the milestone.
Yeah, so 33, I believe.
Does he have it?
And they're just they've gotten their production, they've drafted their cards, and they're choosing how many cards to keep.
Green.
Red's keeping 3. A few people keeping 3.
Yellow.
Levi keeping 2 cards. Again, that's $6 that can't go towards that potential play.
I wish I could see how much money he's got.
You have 5 building tags?
Just to confirm.
That's an interesting question that Jake just asked. He said, you have 5 building tags, right?
4 less.
Because he knows if anyone has 5 building tags and they only have 2 actions, the chances that they're going to be able to get that builder milestone before him are pretty slim, and so he doesn't have to worry about funding it just yet. He can spend his money on doing other things that he wants to get done.
Like I said, it costs 9.
Exactly.
So...
And this game is really, in a lot of ways, won or lost at the bottom of that board. You know, if you can get a couple of milestones and a couple of awards, you're going to win this game. Now, that's not common because there's 6 in total and there's 5 players. So if you get 1 of each or just 2 period, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're doing pretty
well. In a smaller player count game, you can get multiple of each.
It's a building tag, so 4 to 2 less, with catapults 2 less, it costs 13.
Okay, here's an early card game, which requires a maximum of 8% oxygen, which we're not at yet. And yet another victory point card.
And that discount coming in really handy again. Costs 17 normally, but it costs 13
Play space hotels
for Jake because of the Earth Catapult and his corporation ability. Ooh, that's a pretty good card for Robert. He already has an Earth Tag engine going, and so he naturally has the Earth Tags. He gets to draw a card because of his corporation, and move up 4 on an income track. That's a pretty huge bump for a low cost.
10. 3.
Robert making a push. He's just gotten 7 income in 1 turn with those 2 cards.
That is big. All right, so Robert going to the restroom. They're going to steal his plants now, I think.
I was just going to make that joke, Steven.
I'm too quick for you, Chris.
I had it locked and loaded.
I was hoping you could be trapped over there.
Okay.
It's always brown tile.
So another city tile
Yes,
coming
that's why I
out,
thought you went there.
and this is Antony
Last game
bringing
I had
one out,
I
and he's not in the race for bringing out 3 cities, but he's putting one out for free with this card, and he places it next to no other tile on the board. That's I won't say it's one of my favorite cards, but I really like the fact that you can take the city.
I think it's one of your favorite cards.
It might be one of my favorite cards. So it's kind of cool. So if you see the bottom left quadrant of what's going on, there's nothing down there at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to start your own little city thing going on there, and then you can basically put greeneries around it and claim all of those nice bonuses. There's all this steel bonuses that go on right next to one of those spaces there. So that's exactly where he's going to put it. He's actually going to put it. I wouldn't have put it there. Now, again, it depends on what. I can't see everything. But I would have put it one to the right of that, claimed no bonus, but then set myself up to place greeneries all around it. Like if you can then put out 6 more greeneries, you get all of those bonuses and all of those victory points.
I guess it comes down to how many, what's your plant production like? How many greenery do you think you're going to end up being able to produce?
Look, and he's already going into this well.
There we go.
So you see what I'm saying, right? If he would have moved that city one to the right,
Enemy colony?
he'd have a better ability to get more greeneries out. But you might not be able to get them all out, so this might play out very well for him. He'll only get out of 4 of the 6. Or is it 5 of the 6? I have to go look at the board again.
And this is Levi's big play. He's playing a card that gets him
Here
a
we-
city.
Here it is.
Ganymede colony.
Who predicted this, Chris?
Who predicted
said it
it?
was going to happen?
I
Who's
believe
your
it
daddy,
was.
Chris?
I believe it was Stephen Vonnecourt.
I don't think his triggers because
Who brought Terraforming Mars to the masses. Saw this play a mile away.
I don't think it was that genius of an insight because. So it is perfect though. He obviously had that card in his hand. He realized that he'd be able to play.
And he's able to play it because of the card, because it being a card and it being cheaper, and he can use his titanium on it.
And knowing that he was going to go before Calvin
Yeah.
on this round, and then his second thing is he's going to go claim, right?
Boom. Yeah, he's claiming it right now down at the bottom. And you can see the look on Calvin's face. Ooh.
Calvin is hating life. He's smiling, but he's not the happiest man at that table right now.
You can see that recalculation that is happening. That has disrupted a lot of his plans. I wonder if he's rethinking playing that immigration shuttle.
Sure.
Because if he had just committed right away, but he probably thought nobody was close, and it really seemed like no one was close to taking that from him. I thought he had that on lock.
I thought he had it locked up. But kudos to Levi for that was a really well thought out stealth way of getting a couple of extra cities there and bang. So it's sort of like almost a 10-point swing if you think about it. Right? He gets 5, but he denies
Calvin
5.
doesn't,
Not exactly, but you got it. He's denying 5 and he's getting 5. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a really stealth play. That's pretty huge.
So there's Calvin saying, well, I was going to put out a city anyway. So let me put it down here. And I'm going to point out again that I'm not the best player of this, but if I was Antony, I would have moved that thing the other direction, and that city would not have been able to be placed there, and he would be not glomming on that greenery that got placed after that. So
That's true.
That's, this little subtleties there you have to think about. So
yeah, if he had placed his city one to the right and then placed his forest where his city is, he would have just gotten one less steal. But
yep.
What are you doing going
Yeah,
there?
what's that city on that?
I'm sending a note to Antony right now, telling him like, sorry, dude, I'm not sure that was the best play.
that's funny. That
Sign somebody who's much worse player than you are.
Antony just said, "Excuse me, Calvin. What are you doing placing that sitting there?" That was part of my plan.
Yes. That actually is another way of kind of playing that is if you kind of make a group of cities. You can't make them next to each other, but you put them kind of close, and then you start ringing them with greenery. But again, in a 5-player game, I don't know that that's a great possible strategy.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to pull off. Somebody's going to glom on things you're doing.
It's it's tough to do. I feel in a lower player count, that's a lot more. And that's interesting too, because you have to adapt to the player count, whatever it is. There's so much more opportunity to get milestones and awards at that smaller player count. So much more board space. Here, you really have to make every placement, every action count. I'm still thinking about that stealth play from Levi. Honestly, that feels pretty huge.
Absolutely.
Research is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it costs me 6.
2 science tags down for Antony, which makes sense with Valley Trust. You want to go for those science tags because he gets -2 off of every science symbol. So for this one, I think that only cost him 7 for a point and 2 cards, which
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous payback.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, really very good.
because just keeping those cards would be 6 cards in general, right? Six coins, 6 credits.
No.
Yep.
Every science tag.
You basically just played 1 for
It's too good a card.
some clarification happening for
Wow.
Levi. You even hear Eugene, the judge, saying, "Wow, that card's too good."
Oh, you get the combos. That's one of those things about when you're designing a game like this. A given card isn't too powerful because it's basis the fact that you need to do so much to get that card out, right? So he had to have a whole science tag engine kind of going to be able to play that great card.
And I think it is specifically for Valley Trust, too, because that also is a Prelude card, the research card. So
There you go.
with Valley Trust being a Prelude corporation and it being an added card because of the Prelude expansion, you can see the combo that it was made for the Valley Trust player, and that's exactly what Antony has capitalized off of.
Yep. So if I had to make another prediction right now, changing my original Calvin prediction, I'm gonna go Levi at this point.
After that stealth play.
I think he's in the lead right now. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, he's just moved up to tie. The terraforming track also serves as, you know, bonus income, and as most viewers will probably know, bonus income and a representative of all your points. And we see that Levi and Robert are both at 25, or sorry, 20. Yeah, 25. Oh, Levi just moved up to 26 though, because of that. I'm not quite sure what.
You notice that city triangle he's got going over there. He's going to be plopping down greenery in that area too. I'm really liking his position. That, you know, the fact that where he is right now on the TR track, and the fact that he's got the 5 mayor points locked up.
That's true. That
he's going to be throwing down greenery. I'm liking his position right now.
Yeah.
You took his pet, you get your rope.
But everybody pretty tight on that terraforming track.
It's very tight.
Antony and Jake at 23, Calvin at 24, Robert at 25, and Levi at 26 right now.
And we've seen so many other victory point cards come out. We know that Antony is working on a stealth victory point strategy over there.
That's true, especially with pets coming out so early, with all these cities being thrown down. Every time a city is played, a little small pet goes on that card.
Shows up.
And for every 2 pets on that card, Antony's going to get a victory point, which that card will be the most worth the most in this game for sure. That is the best point value card that will be played this game, because it'll probably be worth 7.
It's going to be worth a lot. That one
end.
card's going to be worth a tremendous amount. Now let's see what else you can get out though with it.
So all cards cost 2 less. So it costs.
Oh, we see Jake's finally funded a milestone. It looks like his cube was put on the terraforming track, but I'm fairly certain this has got to be the building tag, because he's not at 35 terraforming rating. So I'm sure that was just misput by someone. And this is a huge card too. Soletta costs 35. He's used so much titanium to make it happen, but his heat production, like you just said, goes from 0 to 7. I'm still backing Jake, but I think the amount of cards that he's been able to put out, but it seems like everyone else is catching up now and getting their engines going.
Up to 3, and then I will play December.
It's interesting. Robert just sold a card and did his own action to look at another card. So Robert wants to see more of the board state before making some decisions, I feel.
He's got a fairly large number of cards. I guess he's getting hand jammed and not able to, or not wanting to play those cards yet. I don't think he's going for the planner, which is the one where he has the milestone, where you need 16 cards to claim it. I don't think he's going for that. But he's got a big hand, and he has the ability to buy more cards with that blue card that he placed early in the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always find the planner to be so hard to get versus the other milestones, because if the more cards you're holding on in your hand, the potentially less of an engine you're generating through playing those cards. If you're holding back just for those 5 points, the payoff has never really seemed worth it to me particularly, but I'm not sitting at the Terraforming Mars World Series final.
So this is something I heard from players that played in the first round, that one of the players passed every turn they had for the first 3 generations. Passed.
Wow.
Then, but bought cards. They bought cards in the draft.
Yeah.
Passed for 3 generations.
It's just the orientation.
Claimed planner, and then just went hog wild playing all the cards that they had accumulated in their hand. Interesting way, and I believe he won the table. And it's a strategy that no one had ever seen before.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
exciting. That's exciting to me. And just a little bit ago, we saw Jake correcting that he did fund the builder milestone and the terraforming milestone, so it's on the right space now.
There we go.
Everybody ready?
Now we're moving into Gen 4. You can see Eugene dealing out the cards. We've cut ahead. They've all drafted. They've received their production, and we are rolling on Gen 4.
Green. I'm gonna keep 3 for 9. Okay.
Levi's keeping 3 cards.
Please. Yellow. Keeping 0. Black.
No cards. Calvin's keeping no cards.
I generally go for the lean cards in hand strategy. It's a resource. It has to be managed. If you're spending too much on cards that you don't play, not so good. Ooh, Mars University.
Play that tag. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And who's playing this card?
Robert's playing the card, blue. When you play a science tag, Antony would have loved to have gotten that card with his science strategy.
Certainly would have. And again, Robert he has got so many actions in front of him.
Yeah.
It's another one of the strategies that I cannot execute well. There's a few of them that I literally can't. Having lots of actions, the microbe strategy is not something I've never been able to pull off. I'm a greenery and event kind of guy.
Yeah. What you can see in front of you.
Yes,
I find the microbe strategy to be really hard to pull off. We don't see anybody really collecting microbes. Although Robert does have access to it. He's got the microbes that can discount his plants, but again, that's sort of a means to an end to get more plants on the board.
2 actions. That's 2. Red.
Do you own the Terraforming Mars big box? I guess you don't, since you just have the base game, right?
I don't. I just have the base
Yeah, I
game.
love it. I have that. Obviously, that was like one of the last projects I worked on at Stronghold before I retired. And I won't take that much credit for it because it was some beautiful ideas on how to put that box together and then the sculpts that were used. Fantastic addition. Okay, so Anthony's hitting us with another science card. So
restricted area. He can just spend $2 to draw a card. So it's cheaper than keeping one in your hand, and you have the ability to get more cards down the line. And that only cost him $9 to get, which I guess you'd want to draw nine cards to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
was this his second card?
And then, this is his second card. That's why he wants to put that down.
6.
Robert
and Jake talking that they wish they could have taken that and not given it to Antony, but
I mean, this. I don't know that I've ever seen this card played. You have to have 5 science tags. I mean, maybe I'm sure I have in Generation 10. It's it's a really hard thing to play. But Anthony's got plenty of science tags. He has 5 right now, I believe.
Yeah, and so that's why he was able, playing that restricted area got him to that amount, and then he was able to play the mass converter, which anytime you play a space card, you discount it by 2, which is huge, especially for he only paid $6 for that card. He plays 3 space cards that's yielded it back, and he's gotten 6 energy for it. So that's a huge payoff. It's a low cost, but you need to have so much build up to that card.
And guess what's happening? Amazingly, I don't believe it, yet another city is hitting the board.
Pets are paying off. This is Levi's 4th city, and Calvin also has 4.
He's going to place it next to an ocean, which rebates him 2 mega credits and gets him in that placement bonus a greenery.
Yes, $2 for that, and 4 points, 3 on the card, plus 1 underneath. That's all.
You can hear him talking about it right now.
Yeah, you didn't need to let us know, Levi. We figured it out.
4 points.
There's some triggers.
Before you take your turn, I spent 9 for this, and I spent 6 for this, which was, so I missed the discount on my research outpost for my last play. You guys want $2?
Solid. Should get $2 back.
Yeah, $1 for each card. I just missed the research outpost,
So, rover trigger.
and I got my badges.
Wow, that's again,
Sportsmanship.
Antony, such great sportsmanship around the table. Antony's like, oh hey, I realize you have so many cards to keep track of at this point, right? The tableaus get so large, and some things give you discounts. And so he was supposed to get a discount with his research outpost card. Basically, on every card he plays 1 less. And so he didn't take that. He just took his discount for the science tags. And very graciously, it had already moved on. Levi had taken his turn. I think everyone around that table could have denied him, said, sorry, you missed it. But
Nice.
but nobody did.
Okay, so this is
And here we
the
go.
first award being funded, and that is the banker. Calvin is putting it down. So let's talk about awards for a moment. As we talked about in the beginning, funding an award is a risk. You may not end up getting the 5 victory points for being the most in whatever category it is, or you might not even get the 2 victory points for being the second most. So that's a big risk. He believes at this point he's got enough mega credit production to fund it, so he's going to give it a shot. And it only costs him 8 to do it now, I believe, while the next one funded costs 14, and the one after that costs 20. So it's a risk with a higher reward if he does it now than does it later on a cost basis.
And I don't want to say that I called this one happening.
Yes,
but,
you did.
Oh, baby, did I.
Yes, you did.
Oh, it just feels like Calvin's getting an additional income bump anytime someone plays a city. And he's also played a few cards that have been very significant. So it feels like it makes sense for him to invest in it now, especially since he lost out on that Mare milestone. He wants to lock down 5 points to potentially offset that swing. We can see behind, we were hearing a bit of a cacophony, we can see behind players from the Blood Rage final.
Oh, that was the
heading-
Blood Rage final. That's right. That was
Yeah.
MJ and
Bonzinator just passed.
Bonzinator walking away. Well, maybe.
And I believe Brian, too, Brian Savage, I want to say his name was.
Should we say who won that one? We won't say.
Well, it's up on
Yes,
up on the channel.
it's
if
up
you,
on the
if you want to
channel.
go watch that, we streamed that live from the event. That was also a good game, but that was a raucous game.
That
so
was
you
a
could hear-
raucous game, as Blood Rage might be, and both of those lovely people became friends of mine there, and I really enjoyed that. Met both of them there and spent some time with them. It was a great event, and anybody listening to me who might want to come in 2023 should really consider it and bring friends with you. Tickets are on sale right now.
That's true. visit-
Bonacor will be back. I think I'll be back. I think they've asked me to come back already.
Oh, well,
Wow.
you're the podfather. Podfather of gaming.
But I love
And
this.
hey, yeah, anyone who's listening, I believe Steven Bonacor has a special code that can get you $40 off, too. A stay and play package.
I'm not sure I
Put in
should
code
promote that right
Podfather.
here, should I?
I did it for you.
It's Podfather. You get $40 off if you use it for the stay and play or the four ticket event. Go for it. That's funny. Thank you, Chris.
We're back to the Fuel Factory. Robert playing Fuel Factory, just bumping up a very simple card, using your energy to bump up your production.
Red.
action.
Yeah, how many oceans do we have out now? Is it
I believe 6.
6 with 3 left?
Yeah.
So you get to that point in the game where if you've got oceans to be played via cards, you either play them or
you lose them.
you're gonna lose them, and you don't get. It's a good time to mention that when you do play an ocean, you get a victory point, a terraforming rating, same way as when you move up on the oxygen track or the temperature track. And if you do it later, you don't get that bonus.
Card. That's 2 actions.
What a great card this is! Another of my favorite cards. No, I'm kidding.
Another one of your
But
favorites?
it's a simple. I think it was 9 cost. You draw a card,
Yep.
and you get a victory point at end of game.
You get a point.
got
Antony's
the
getting a lot of those cards that give him little points. That's something to watch too. He's got those pets which are gonna yield, and then so many of his cards. I'm looking at them right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got at least another 5 points out of just cards played, and those have all kind of contributed towards his science strategy too.
There we go.
That's a great spot for Levi to put a forest. Not only does he get $4 back because it's beside 2 oceans, he gets 1 plant, and he bumps up only his city and nobody else's.
2 victory points for that placement as well.
1 for the forest and 1 for the city adjacency.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are the 8 points that I paid.
Oh, and an additional victory point because by playing a forest, you bump up the oxygen on the planet, and that gives you a.
That's what I was going for.
Oh, right. I knew that, of course.
I got a chance to play Terraforming Mars at the World Series of Wargaming, but in a special event, they just had a raffle to play with one of the guests, one of the VIPs there, and they asked me to play Terraforming Mars. It was wonderful. Played a 5-player game of Terraforming Mars in Las Vegas style. I might have had a few drinks in me. It was wonderful, and I didn't come in last, which made me very happy. I came in second to last. I'm pretty sure.
Hey.
Which was
it's at least a second.
right. It was a moral
place
victory
finish.
for me.
We don't have to say what second it was.
I came in second to last.
Yeah, that's the fine print. That's the fine print. You got to look at a magnifying glass with.
All cards cost 2 less. Building dice cost 2 less. So 22, 20.
There's the capital that we were talking about earlier. This is the capital of Mars being put onto the board in whatever spot that you desire.
So this is a
Energy production, so increase my credit production from 5.
it's a mid-game play, as you can see, because you needed 4 oceans, and
Yeah.
we went crazy with oceans early. So getting ability to get played a little bit earlier than usual.
Where my
As you can see here, the good places to place cities are getting less and less. So where is he going to place the city?
Yeah,
That's
makes
a
sense
good one.
because he has to place it next to an ocean because it gets points for being adjacent to oceans. That's its special ability. So that really limits where he can place it, and placing it near the bottom of the board rather than the top half of the board, because he might have an additional chance to place an ocean there, or he might only be able to get 1 point by it. It's still confined that it can't be next to another city, I believe.
It's funny that the capital city of Mars was not named. I'll name it now.
Yeah.
It's called Bonacor.
I was gonna call it Bonacore. I would probably said like Bonacoreville or Bonacore Town.
One of my favorite moments in gaming was when I was playing Risk Legacy, right? And in Risk Legacy, you get to, rip up cards, write on the board, all this stuff. When I was able to name a continent, I named South America. I was able to do that. South Bonacore. So for all the other plays, they had to say, I'm going to South Bonacore. And they pissed my friends off to no end. And I love that.
You get a $2 kickback.
Levi playing some more greenery here, and now he's forced to play it to benefit another player. He's chosen to benefit Calvin instead of potentially Jake. He could have benefited if he played it on his other city down near the middle of the board to the left of that. It would be hard not to benefit Calvin with him dropping cities left and right, as only Tharsis can. But he could have. He made the choice to.
Free temperature bump if you want.
Oh, and with that, he gets 3 greenery, and Levi claims another milestone. That is the last milestone that can be claimed, and Levi has claimed 2 of them.
That's a game-winning move, I think, right there.
That is a huge play.
That is strong, and I don't see how that's going to bode well for the rest of the players.
Well, I don't know. Jake also has 1 milestone, so he's not there. And Calvin probably has that banker award on lock, unless someone makes a real concerted push to try to take that. So,
what do you think the final score will be for the winner? That's a really hard question. It's a 5-player game that comes into effect, so the scores are going to be lower. I bet.
Standard project.
I'm going to say it's going to be in the high 70s, low 80s. What do you think?
That's generally the games that I've played, but I don't know if I played that many 5 players. I often play at 4 players, so I don't know how the score will scale based on that. And I don't know if Prelude will make it with less rounds to play, if that will impact a higher point value or not. But I would make that same guess.
Oh, more animals.
More animals
pets,
coming.
Now we got some animals.
Jake deciding which plant production to reduce. And he picks Levi. Levi showing that he's ahead with those 2 milestones. That makes sense. That seems like a good choice from Jake's perspective.
So one of the things I always say about Terraforming Mars is that it is an extremely thematic game. And it's based on projected science. So the designer of the game, Jacob Frixelius, is a physical scientist. He's a doctor of physical sciences who created this game. And while it's not real, because this starts taking place 400 years in the future and then goes for about 400 years, it really embodies what we could possibly do in the future.
Yeah. I do like when I was searching through and all the cards and organizing them, I like seeing that each card has a unique name and has sort of like a little bit of history or a feeling of why that sort of thing happens, and even just the requirements for playing the cards feel thematic to me. Yeah, you can't have what was just played, small animals.
Yep. You can't play that card in the beginning of the game, but later on,
you need to have some oxygen on Mars. It requires 6% oxygen, and now that there's some oxygen on Mars, the life can start to come out, which is it is kind of cool. I was really struck with the theme of it, based around those sorts of criteria and what you need before doing certain things.
One of the promo cards that came out for the game, which I'm sure is not being played because they didn't bring it in, it's called Penguins, and you need 7 oceans to bring it in, right? So it's a late game card, obviously.
I actually don't think you can play there.
But I love it because if you think about it, what would be one of the easiest animals to actually introduce onto a still cold planet where the temperature at the end of the game is only going to be about 8 Celsius? right, with not great amount of oxygen, is something that likes cold and will hang out on the glaciers of Mars. And it says it on the cards. It says something like penguins love the glaciers of Mars. And who doesn't love penguins? So they brought out penguins to hang out on the Martian glaciers.
That's fun. Robert getting his first forest on the board, and he tried to place it to the right of the board, but he was reminded that you must place your forests adjacent to existing spots. So he put it in between two of his own spots and can start to build from there. But also Calvin got it's also next to one of Calvin's cities. So with Calvin having a lot of cities out there, maybe that'll help Tharsis yield some stuff.
So we have biomass combustors coming out. You'll see it said -1 victory points. This obviously is a more powerful card than the small cost to play it of only 8. So it might give you a nice bonus right now for something you need, but it's gonna hurt you in the end. So we'll see how that plays out.
E5 steel. That will also trigger. That will be 3.
Now this card looks like it might be one of Stephen Bonacor's favorite cards.
Because it's an event card. It only costs 5. You get 5 steel. Done deal. Boom. It's in your face.
Easy
it's right
peasy.
there.
You get the rewards right away. Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. Easy peasy. Yeah, you're reading me like a book now, Chris. This really is making me feel like I have to play now. Today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have nothing to do after this 3-hour live stream we're doing here.
Pay for the farm.
So this is the final bid. This is the steel I get back.
So Levi's able to offset that biomass conductors that he played by using one of the energy it provided to get him 2 points, 2 terraforming rating.
That's huge.
Which is even better than points on the card because it contributes to your income. Looks like it's just Levi and Robert in this round, and they're going back and forth, pushing their scores up, while everybody else waits for their income to be generated for the next generation.
Oh, everybody else has passed, right? So it's
yeah.
29.
Oh, there goes Levi passing.
Oh, and Robert just passed as well.
Okay.
Too. So we're on to the next generation, and they're doing their production, and they're drafting their cards. And you can see the state of the board, how cramped it's starting to get.
I've played games that look like this, and I've played games where like nothing was put on the board. I mean, almost nothing. So, yeah, this is, and with 5 players, this is leading to a big grouping of things.
Yeah. We have 2 oceans left to play. There's 7 on the board. We're at -8 in terms of heat, and we're at 9 on the oxygen track. Now, Stephen, which order do you normally see things? We can talk about it. They're choosing how many cards that they're going to keep.
6.
I think
he's keeping 1.
When you're saying with the 3 global parameters, I assume that's what you meant.
Exactly. Yes.
Which one do we see maximize earliest versus latest? And I think the answer is it depends, and it really does. What corps are in the game? Because like if Helios is in the game, you see that heat track just skyrocket because Helios has to maximize its heat generating potential before anybody else gets a chance to do anything on the heat track. So they're just racing it up. It should be number 1. If somebody's going to greenery strategy, a true greenery strategy with like Ecoline Corp, that's the one you want. If you're going to go with a greenery strategy, you want Ecoline. It just throws out plants. Then you're going to see the oxygen go up there. And the big variable one is oceans. In this game, we saw it. That is absolutely going to be the first one maximized. That's almost a guarantee. We'll see 2 more oceans out, ending that before we see either the temperature or the oxygen max.
And we see that the award play has just happened. Antony has funded the science award, which at this point he's got on lock too. That's basically as good as a milestone. potentially even more than the banker, because he has, I think, 6 or 7 science tags, and I think the closest person is Robert with 1, maybe 2.
Wow. Yeah, so that's the second award?
That's the second award.
Yeah,
he
so
just funded it.
So he has small opportunity cost there of like 6 mega credits. He had to pay 14 instead of 8, and the next one's going to cost 20. So
that'll be $15.
That's true.
So, whoa!
And here it comes, one of Stephen Bonacor's favorite cards.
21 point. Let's drop a comment on the planet because, hey, we can. And this is going to raise temperature. And was it an ocean as well?
It was an ocean, and that's pretty huge to play right now because the oceans are dwindling. There's only now 1 ocean left.
Huge.
After Levi plays this down here.
So look what he did. He got a terraforming rating, a victory point for raising the temperature. And he's going to get one again for playing the ocean. There they go. He's up to 32 now. He's way out there, getting closer to.
That was 1 action.
That's huge.
So it's not possible for him to claim Terraformer, right? I think all 3.
No, all 3 milestones.
Right, so he will not be able to get that even if he goes up to 35. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to note that. But he's got a lot of points.
Moving ahead. And there's the last ocean.
There you go.
Artificial Lake for 15. It also gets him an additional point on the card. Place an ocean on a tile that is not reserved for an ocean. And this is also a huge play to Jake's detriment, because the capital, he was hoping to get that last ocean up above it to the top right of the capital, and now there are no more oceans to play, so his capital will only be worth 1. This is huge from Levi.
Yep. He picks up, because he was able to place that where an ocean is not usually permitted to go. He picks up 4 mega credits for placing it there between 2 other oceans.
That's true. So basically only cost him 11 for moving up again on the terraforming rating, making sure nobody else can play those oceans for the rest of the game. That's it. All the
ocean cards
are
are now useless. If you got a card that puts an ocean down, you got to just spend it for a buck.
Yeah.
You see Tom Vassell there in the background, my arch nemesis of gaming. There he is. Hello, Tom. We had a great time in Las Vegas at this event, Chris. I think you admit too. It was just fantastic. General, all of the VIPs, we had a great time. The attendees had a great time. It was fantastic.
Now this is an interesting card that Calvin just played down. It seems like he's trying to transition into that forest. With the Heather, he's getting himself some plant production. And he needs to in order to capitalize on his cities that are on the board. Because as the board gets more cramped, I don't see a place where Calvin could place another city, honestly.
He can place it in the northwestern area.
Oh, yeah.
That's
right
1.
above that green. And he could place one in between those 2 oceans up at the top, too, as well.
Those are like maybe the only 2 places that another city can go.
Yeah.
Unless you play the urbanization zone,
True.
which enables you specifically, you must place it next to another city or more. So there's a great place for that card to be played right now at the bottom in the southwestern quadrant with the 2 cities. You place it between the 2. That would be a huge play if it comes out.
Right, and it denies them being able to place a forest there, especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, let's spend 6, 12, 12.
And again,
2
another
point.
plant sort of production. Seems like everyone's shifting towards those plant productions, but the oxygen track is moving up further and further, so you want to capitalize on getting that oxygen, those plants on the board, while the oxygen meter needs to be moved, because then you get that additional point bump.
Make credit production from 10 to 12.
Yeah, with all those cities there, playing lots of greenery now, and playing them next to your cities, of course, really becomes an important part of the strategy.
Yeah.
Playing anti-grab check or minus 1, 2, 3, so possible.
Levi inquiring as to the state of the board. You can see everyone is really aware of what everyone else is doing, because you have to be. Oh, man.
Oh, requires 7 tags. I'm fairly sure I've never seen the card played.
This is extraordinary.
3 victory point card.
Call the scientist. It's worth 3 points. It only costs you $14. It costs Antony 12 because of his corporation discount. And now, from here on out, every card costs him 2 less. Which, combined with his research breakthrough, every card costs him 3 less. See, that one only cost him $2 because of all of his discounts. He's got 3, and then he's got 2 more off of it because of the card, the mass converter, that takes off 2 for every titanium tag. So that last card that he played was just $2.
Wow.
And everything that Antony is playing seems to have points attached to it as well.
Oh my goodness.
This is a huge play.
6 credits to play greenhouses. He's now going to get greenery equal to the number of cities in play, which we know is like
A lot.
12, 10.
They're counting it up, yeah.
You count the one on not on Phobos, on Ganymede.
12.
12 cities.
Wow.
He gets the equivalent of 1.5 greeneries right now for that.
That's a huge card.
To use the standard project of 8 plants to make a greenery. He just got 12 greenery. He can take a turn and a half there, an action and a half.
Yeah.
If he has 4 more, boom. Somebody better drop an asteroid on his butt right now.
All the asteroids have been dropped.
There's always another asteroid or comet to bring down.
Seems a little unsafe living on Mars with all these asteroids being hurled towards its surface. I'd rethink building cities there, Tharsis Republic, until all of the asteroids are finished demolishing the planet. Oh, and that's a great placement by Levi. He gets 2 plants back.
So 4 plants back total.
Got your oxygen pump. That's your right.
He gets 4 plants back total for that. 2 from the placement bonus, and then 2 from probably.
Was
another
that
card effect that I'm
the
missing.
effect of the tile that's next to it right now? Not the city, but the one above. I'm not sure
Maybe.
what that effect is, but that's interesting.
Or maybe he was just making change as well.
Okay.
He threw in too many because he was getting a bunch. I'm not sure, but everyone around the table seemed to agree, so
Oh,
I trust
absolutely.
them. There's a plantation, requires 2 science tags. So
great.
Jake
This is-
has 2 science tags.
He's got 2 science tags, all he needed to do. This is going to get him 2 immediate victory points, right? He's going to be placing a greenery tile, gets him a victory point. He's going to raise the oxygen because of that, and then he raises the oxygen again. I think it said that. Yes.
Oh yeah, it does say requires
So you
two-
get-
yeah. Place a greenery tile and raise the oxygen
Right, so
one
that's
step.
2 just there, and then an end game bonus, he just placed it next to his city. Or, no, he placed it next, well, yes, he must have placed it next to his city.
His
Right,
city,
and
yeah.
happened to be next to Levi's city as well.
Yeah, the oxygen is running dry. You see, everyone's trying to transition to this plant strategy, and get the forests on the board to really capitalize on their city placements. But soon they won't be getting the terraforming ratings, and it's kind of mind-boggling to me to see the scores as they are. We can kind of see them on the board from this angle. Levi is just shot ahead with green. Oh, there's your favorite card, Steven, or at least one that we've been
the
talking
commercial district. So this is not the one. I was talking about the urbanization zone.
Oh,
where
no,
you-
no,
where you
that's
literally
the
place a
urbanized
city
area.
next to
Yeah,
cities.
I thought it was
But
that
this,
one.
he's going to drop that next to 2 cities and get all those bonuses. Right? He's going to put it right there.
And get
right
points
there.
per.
Right. Okay, there. Actually, I was thinking next to. There's also
wow.
the space. Yes, either
I was
one of
thinking
those
down
will
below
work,
as
I
well,
think.
yeah.
I'm going to use forward bullets.
But maybe he's doing it to
Sure.
hinder Levi and Jake, who seem well. Levi is clearly in the front running if you look at the score and the 2 milestones that he has.
Yeah.
But there are still a lot of points on cards that we could be looking at a whatever your friend's
Chad, my
name
buddy
is.
Chad
again,
from New Jersey.
We could be looking at a Chad strategy
It's
here.
the Chad
a Chad
strat. I'm
strat.
going to name it after him. So look how close we're now on oxygen. We're at 13%. One more bump only will be permitted on the oxygen track. You can continue to try to raise it, but it doesn't get you the bonus. So those cards are normally less valuable at that point.
That seems like an odd play with Robert placing greenery down there. I guess he wanted the green back and the placement bonus more than a point, but I believe he had a city, or maybe he doesn't have a city. Maybe those are just all placement, and it doesn't matter where he places. Yeah, I was looking up top. I thought his blue one up there was a city. Unfortunately, Robert doesn't have any cities on the board, so anytime he places a forest, he's benefiting someone else as well as himself. So he chose to benefit Levi there when he could have benefited Calvin up above. But I guess he thought that was the least disruptive.
So this is interesting. He's playing import water from Europa, which you can take an action to only pay like half the cost, approximately. About that, 12 of the normally 18, to place an ocean.
18.
But he's not going to be able to ever use the action on that card. However, it had 2 victory points on that card. So he's playing that card again for victory points only.
That's true. Yeah, it's the victory point condition. It has a Jovian tag on it, and it's 1 point per Jovian tag. So we could maybe see again Antony going with those sort of stealth card points as well, trying to get those Jovian tags going as well as the points on his cards. He's the lowest on the terraforming rating track, but he has a lot of discounts for cards, and that will hopefully offset the lesser income that he gets for being lower on that terraforming rating.
I'm just gonna pass. Yellow.
Tricky, Levi says. It is. Every move counts at this point. So Levi's decided to pass and save up his cards, and for when he can see what's coming down the line and what the state of the board ends up being at the end of this generation. Again, Calvin transitioning to that greenery, which you need for Tharsis, I feel, to surround his cities. He may not be getting the bump on the oxygen for very soon because the oxygen's almost done, but he needs to start placing those greenery tiles and maximizing his city points. I would assume that's why he's really going all in for sort of plant production at this moment.
And they just keep banging out the high victory point cards.
That's true, and the high cost, but you can see Jake's steel production is a 6. His titanium production is a 3. He's got a lot of stuff that he can work with, and he has discounts as well. He's got some solid discounts again with his corporation and with that Earth Catapult that he played way at the beginning of the game that has yielded so many dividends to him because he's played so many cards. I'm gonna count it up, see how much he's saved with that Earth Catapult. He's played 19 cards since playing the Earth Catapult, Jake has. And so he has saved himself pretty much 38 mega credits by playing that 23 mega credit card.
Robert just played
a good investment.
The blue card, or used it as an action to go take a look at another card off the top of the deck. He did not buy it. That's something you absolutely have to do every turn, every game turn, every generation, because it's free. You just do it, you look at it. If you want it, you buy it. It's great. Oh.
I always prefer that card to the one that Antony has, because you have the choice to purchase it and then see if it works with your current strategy. This is Predators. Remove one animal from any card and add it to this card. I imagine the pets should be the obvious target here.
Pets can't be targeted, Chris.
Oh, animals may not be removed from this card
because they're hanging out in your home area. They're not roaming
in your house.
They're not roaming
in
the
your
planet.
Bubble. That's true. So the only other target will be the small animals of Jake. I believe that's the only other pet.
ASPCA of Mars is a very strong group, so they make sure that the pets are taken care of.
They're one of the corporations.
That would be.
That would be a good corporation.
Imagine that. It would be a really good one. It helps the pets and maybe all the animals, right?
Scrap the big box. There's going to be a bigger box now. We just came up with it. You heard it
here
first.
Here it is. The urbanization area. Bonacor's favorite of all cards when you get to play it like this. Oh, yeah.
Especially in this game.
How much do
Place it adjacent. But it's interesting because this is Antony playing this, and so is he going to want to play it in between him and Calvin at the bottom left there? Because that could potentially... Could that potentially hinder him? I don't know. What would be the benefit of placing it there if he places it? Because that stops him from being able to put a forest, right?
Yes.
Ideally,
so
he'd want to
play
place
this
it...
card to hurt other people. So he's going to play this card up top, below the...
top right?
Right. He's going to play right by... Oh, okay, that side. I was looking
right
at the other
there,
side, but sure. Yes.
It's pretty much the same, I guess, but there's already one plant in play down there. Yeah, that's looking at the board. That feels like the correct place to go. Oh, Levi passes officially now. I think he had taken one action and passed before, and then now he has officially passed, waiting for the next generation.
Right, in Terraforming Mars, as I'm sure everybody knows, on your turn you can take one action or two actions, and you decide on that, or you just pass and you're out of the generation. And normally, almost always on the same turn, everybody ends up passing. Sometimes people get one extra turn that other people didn't get.
And Calvin plays another city, the only place where he can play it now. He said, okay, I'm going to get that last city spot, because with the urbanized area, Stephen Bonacor's favorite card, being played, that takes out the additional space in between those two oceans up top as a viable city opportunity. So there's only one last place where a city could be played, and Tharsis Republic is absolutely going to want to capitalize on that.
Yes. Right.
Jake's turn.
Surveying the board. There's a lot to survey, or surveying everybody else's.
That's exactly what he's doing.
He's
looking at everyone's player boards to see who he's going to target or what somebody's going for. It's definitely a big part of this game.
Thermal issues.
How many points are on cards as well, too? That's the interesting part about Terraforming Mars, is that all this information is really pretty public. The hidden information is what you still have in your hand ready to be played. But if you play cards out on the table, people can check those. And he funds the final award, the Thermalist Award.
He funded Thermalist.
Which is the most heat left over at the end of the
most
of
heat
the game.
left over, right? It's basically you've got a good heat production, but you can't use it, and you can just run it now till the end of the game, and you're going to get, if you're first in that, 5 victory points. It cost him 20 mega credits to do it this late in the game after 2 other awards were funded, but he must, we can't see it from here, but he must have a good heat production, and he's not using his heat for other things. For instance, like bringing up the temperature.
But what's interesting is that the temperature track is pretty much the only track that can move up from here on out. Ooh. And he can decrease someone's heat. He's decreasing Levi's heat right after that Thermalist play, making
Very
sure
good.
that Levi can't be in contention for that award, or
Very,
it's
very
harder
good.
to.
Oh,
The predator gobbles up a small animal,
not a pet.
but not a pet. Not a pet. So yeah, the other two awards that could have been funded were the landlord and what's the other one called? The miner. So the landlord being the most spaces that you own on the board. Again, that makes sense in terms of why you claim those additional spots. And then the miner is the most steel and titanium left over.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who those would have benefited to fund. It feels like Calvin or Levi would have wanted a landlord. I'm not sure who's ahead in terms of spots on the board because Calvin has a lot of cities, but Levi again made that Gardner
These
push
cards are now getting
earlier
played
on.
almost exclusively for the victory points, I bet.
We can see it now. Just that quick glance at the board. Calvin has 8 spots on the board. I think Levi has 5 or so.
He's... Okay.
Playing some birds. 13%
Very-
oxygen. Again, this is a later game, but it's really interesting. If the heat track... Oh, and he targets Calvin to lose 2 plant production. That's tough. That's what Calvin's been building to. That his bushes that he played recently just gave him those plant production.
That's another definition of a very late game card, like the Penguins I mentioned. You need 13% oxygen on a track that only goes to 14%.
And if that's the last track, that's if the heat's already at the max and the ocean's already at the max, that card is hard to play and is very you need the right circumstances for sure.
Yeah.
Simple Food Factory clearly just being played for points now too. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that. People trying to get as many points as they can on the board. It feels also like we're in the 6th generation right now. Will this go 7 generations or will this go 8 generations? That's the question. Because the oxygen track is almost done, and then it's just the heat track and choosing who's going to push that up or who's not.
There goes the Great Dam being played. Another victory point card, so, yeah.
Another victory
people-
point card.
People are playing for endgame right
can
now.
see
We
these
are
players,
getting
yeah.
close to endgame, and people are playing for it. Now, we do have a ways to go, though, on the heat track, which is interesting because
That's true.
it was Jake who claimed the heat, the thermalist, but he's going to be able to score victory points, by running that track up. So
Yeah, if he uses that heat.
I don't know if he's got that much heat, and we don't see his board from these angles. Sadly, if he has that much heat, he could have tried to run that up instead of claiming that award, funding that award. Huh?
Yeah, there's 7 steps left on the heat track.
Yes.
With that's 7 points.
That is
people could be
and that will
taking.
end the game, of course, as you can see right there. 7 steps, 7 increases in temperature. We'll see no more oceans. We'll see no more oxygen. So that's all
No
we're
more
now
oxygen.
waiting for in a timing sense to have happen to trigger endgame, and then they finish the generation and we do final scoring.
2 for 6.
Yeah. Just looking at the board, I did a quick count. It looks like Levi would have been in the lead for the landlord. I think he has 10 spots. Calvin is second with 8 spots on the board. So also Jake funding that thermalist denies Levi the chance of funding the landlord that he would have likely been able to get.
I'm going to spend 8 heat.
Levi will be going first.
But
And do we know what generation we're in? 7.
5 to 36.
Generation 7.
I'll just take that.
Here we go.
Yellow.
You'll notice that in 2 bumps, an ocean would have come
Yeah.
out for free to the person who goes to 0C there on the track. However, that will not happen because there are no more oceans. Walking in the background just now was John Hagmeyer. There he goes again. President of the World Series of Board Gaming. Truly a chairman of the board.
Chairman of the board. Which,
Kinda
for a
makes
board
sense.
gaming thing, it feels like
Truly
that's the title
a
you
wonderful,
want.
warm, energetic guy. I always think I've got a lot of energy. I can't hold a candle to John Hagmeyer's energy. Amazing.
Oh, you should
Oh,
hear
really?
John talk
Okay.
about his favorite cards.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. That's interesting. I think Levi did just a standard project, and we could also see him kind of talking to Jake across the table, saying, "Hey, are you gonna use your heat to bump up the heat thing? Like, are we gonna end this together?" And
Sure.
I think trying to get some information around the table, but Jake would not share that sort of information. That kind of information at this stage of the game is very.
it's easy for him
powerful
to figure
know.
out how what his production is, how much it costs him to bump it up just by using a standard
Yeah.
project, what Levi's production is, and what he's got banked. So as long as you stay ahead and your production's ahead, or if you tie even and your production's ahead, you're okay to do it. And there he goes. He is bumping it up. Another victory point
Yeah.
for Jake.
He's bumping it up, making a comeback. You see Antony at 23, Jake at 27, Calvin 28, Robert at 30, and then Levi at 36 on the terraforming track. But again, we have all those points in cards to account for. So this really, and we know the pets are going to yield. There's at least 12. We know there's at least 12 cities on the board. I think there's more now. So pets are at least worth 7. So even Antony being down at 23, we can assume that that
Yeah.
Antony's still very much in contention.
Okay, you hear him. He just asked for a procedural thing. He's bumping
Here
the
we
heat
go.
twice. He's taking his 2 actions to bump the heat twice. And that costs him 14 mega credits each
Yeah,
one.
he's-
He gets 2 terraforming rating, victory points for doing so. And it now puts it at
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 away from max.
3 away from ending the game. This could very well be the last generation, and Levi is pushing it. Levi is clearly in the lead right now, just on the terraforming rating, and with those 2 milestones at the bottom, he's probably banking that if the game ends now, he's got a good shot at it. So that's why he's contributing all of his resources, all of his credits towards those heat bumps, and we'll see if the other players around the table decide to bump the heat, or if they're going to make Levi just do it on his own and delay it for another generation to try to get more and more.
I gotta
more of their
think
engine
that
going.
no, Jake is not bringing up the heat. How
Well, especially because you want to hold on to that heat,
sure.
because the thermalist is funded,
But-
right? And
But
there's
now
only
he's
3
got to
bumps
he's
to
got
make.
to he's got to be so far. Levi just spent 14 of his heat. He's got to be so far out there. Why wouldn't he
Yeah,
use some of it? Again, we don't know what the production is. We don't know what everybody else has, but
I think other people like Levi's been using his credits to fund this heat bump. He's been doing standard projects, but if we look, we can see a little bit of Antony's board right now. That
yeah.
he's got a decent stack of heat there as well. So I feel like maybe Jake's holding on to that because he may not be the clear heat production. He's got a lot of heat production. Remember when he played that thing that gave him 7 heat production way back when, Soletta,
another
card.
there it is.
There's
Could be the last
another heat
generation.
bump.
Another thing you see players doing right here at the end is selling off their cards. The cards that they can't use, the cards that they won't use, the cards that are useless. So you get rid of them for 1 mega credit, because in the end, mega credits are tiebreakers in the end.
But what's also interesting too is that Levi's bumped this up.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Calvin sells one card and passes. He wants to see what the board state's going to be. He wants to see if anyone's going to pull the trigger and make the game end this generation instead of next generation. And in order to do that, you want to wait out your opponents. You want to sell one card and pass. Your action is to sell a card, get rid of it, and pass. Or Robert could very much be in the driver's seat here to wait people out because of all of the blue actions he has accrued over the course of the game.
Yep.
Kind of draw it out and see what's going to happen because it's only 2 bumps away. But what I was saying was a little interesting is that Levi has gotten 4 points this generation just by bumping the heat. $14 instead of paying for a card that gives you $14 that gives you a point. He's just been spending it and bumping the heat up. And while everyone else is waiting around to see what everybody is doing, he has capitalized on 4 points, which might be the difference. That's the award almost for Thermalist. So people who are holding on to their heat could have been bumping this heat production up and ending it sooner and letting Levi get less points. But it's almost like this game of chicken that's happening as Antony just sells one card and passes. And did Levi just pass? I think Levi just passed. Levi has no more actions to do. He might be out for this generation. He might be out for the round. I think Levi just passed. He can take no more actions this generation, which means no more heat pushing from Levi's end, which means this might go into the 8th generation. If all the other 4 players decide, listen, we don't want this game to end right now. We feel we've got a better engine to go.
Okay, so this is Calvin is able to place a greenery in an area reserved for an ocean, which he's doing right there. He will not bring up the
oxygen because it cannot be moved. That's an odd spot for it. I guess he wanted to play the card, but I guess he wanted to get the point for the greenery.
It was a victory point card, so I think that's the reason it ended up coming out. He doesn't get as many bonuses, but he gets the victory point. Everyone's buying victory points to the extent that they can.
Yeah. Yeah, it had 1 victory point on the card, and then the forest itself will be worth 1 victory point as well. So 2 points for $12 feels like a good play. Antony wanting to keep his strategy a secret, just off camera. Lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. He's keeping his strategy a mystery, hiding behind the judge.
Oh, a big card. This favorite
is huge. Stephen Bonacor's favorite card has just been played. This is huge because, again, it's a Jovian tag, and he gets to raise his terraforming rating for each Jovian tag he has, including this, and 2 points.
Green sound.
27, so he has 4 Jovian tags.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Antony is coming in second place.
I don't know. Antony might pull a Chad. Might have that Chad strat.
He could pull a Chad here.
He's got so many points on his cards. He just got 2 points for that card. He has a card that gives him a point for every Jovian tag. That was the one that he played for points because it was the ocean action, right, that we were talking about. So that's another 4 points. We know he has 4 Jovian tags because he just bumped it up, his terraforming rating, by 4. So that's another 4 points there. He's got his pets card, and almost all the cards that he's been playing have had points attributed to them. This is a close game. This
is a nail biter. The final scoring is going to be fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
I still like Levi's position the best. I mean, I just think he's ripe to take this, but
those 2 milestones at the bottom are pretty huge for Levi.
But it's gonna be a fun final scoring to watch it unfold.
Yeah. Jake could do well in the final scoring as well, because presumably by spending the $20 for Thermalist, he feels he has a chance to get it. So that's another 10 points for Jake. But Jake's pretty... Everyone is fairly behind to Levi's terraforming rating. Again, he got such a huge bump this round by pushing the heat track up. I don't know if... I don't see how people wouldn't move the heat track, wouldn't move to the next generation, because it feels like with Levi having such a commanding lead on the score track right now, it feels like the best bet would be to extend to one more generation.
So here's the reason why people are not racing to the end, because you got to get this card out. 3 victory point card. I mean, that literally puts Robert in contention, because he's been placing victory point cards in his stash. True. That's a tremendous card. So that's the reason why people want to play these cards, maybe that they've had and they've sandbagged until this point of the game, and say, okay, I got to get these out. Before I had to get stuff onto the board, I was doing stuff there. Now, bang, 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 I'm trying to get all these cards out. Another victory point card coming out.
Yeah, and another science combo that only costs Antony $5 because of his corporation and the 2 bonuses that he has, the ongoing ones. 5 credits for 1 point. Pretty good.
As we said, Antony is finishing his turn. He's pushed it over to Calvin because Levi had passed.
Yeah.
And they're all like declaring how many. They all held fingers up there. What was that for? Number of tags, I bet.
Yeah, number of tags. I bet that's going to be related to a card that Calvin's contemplating playing. Just another big 2-point card coming out.
They're all playing the Chad strategy now.
They heard you.
They heard me, yes.
Solid again. Calvin trying to increase that plant production. Calvin's definitely hoping for another generation to get those plants to capitalize on his cities a little bit more.
I gotta say, I think Levi might be sweating now. Like, he passed out of the generation
really early on,
and everybody's taking turns around him, and every card being played is scoring victory points.
And just more points. You can see the plays that they're making aren't creeping them up on the scoreboard, but they are creeping. Oh. What a play. Pushes it within 1 of ending the game. Jake, what a great play by Jake. This is such a bluff play. He's saying, listen, somebody's got to move up the heat, and if anyone else does it now, you're ending the game. So I'm going to take the point. I'm going to use my heat. I got a bunch. I'm going to take a point, and then if you want to end the game, hey, that's on your head, because you may not be ahead. I think this is... Ooh, what an exciting play by Jake.
Oh, man. Okay, so an expensive card because you don't get to play the ocean. You gain 5 plants or add 4 animals to another card, and you get 2 victory points. So this is getting played by Robert, right?
Yeah. He could just add those 4 plants right to his predator card, and those 4 animals right to his predator card, and it could just be worth 4 points for him.
Yes.
So a 6-point card, basically. And getting that $3 back because of his media that he played way back in Generation 1. Anytime an event is played, he gets $3 back.
Nice.
Antony doing some calculation here. Yeah, Levi's got to be sweating. He passed really early and put the driver's seat into everyone else's hands, really.
So one of the things that we that was done at the World Series of Board Gaming was that players beforehand filled out player surveys. So we have 3 of the surveys from the players Not all of them. They didn't have to fill it out. And Antony has been playing board games 11 to 15 years, in that range, while Jake and Levi have been playing for less than 5 years, which I find amazing that you can play games at this level with less than 5 years of experience playing hobby board games at all.
That's cool. Antony was just inquiring about the heat production, or how much heat people will have at the end of this generation, because you produce going into the final scoring. So he's calculating for Thermalist. He wants to get his hands on Thermalist. Robert and Jake are both in contention there. Robert said he had around 13, or would have 13 if the game ended, and Jake said he had, I think, around 17, I think he might have said. And then Antony said he's around 14 right now. So they're all pretty close for heat. They're all vying for that Thermalist bonus. Because I think he might have been contemplating, hey, Jake, if you use your heat to bump it up and finish the game, will I get the Thermalist award? I think that was the calculation that Antony was trying to figure out.
And that's exactly a 3-point swing.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that award gets 5 versus 2.
Calvin playing this virus card to take out 5 plants from Antony. See, he's worried about Antony's points. He could have taken 2 points away from Robert. Basically, he could have taken 2 animals off and just removed 2 of Robert's predators. But he chose to target Antony and make sure that Antony couldn't get some more plants on the board. Which is an interesting choice from Calvin about who to pick at this point in the game. Which, again, that might yield an okay thing for Levi, because Levi passed, right? If there are going to be a lot of these cards that come out at this end which are targeting people and removing stuff from their supply, Levi's going to be less of a target because he doesn't have actions to play. So you're going to want to hinder people who currently do have actions to play. Jake looking. And Antony is doing a standard project of Asteroid.
He is. End game. Here we go.
Wow. He's triggering
right.
the end of the game. This is the last generation.
Confirmed by Eugene. Thank you, Eugene.
I told him that, Eugene. Don't worry.
Yes.
Wow, what a play. And he decided to do a standard project so that he could use his credits and not his heat, so that he could stay first for that Thermalist award.
Fantastic.
This is the end of the game, and I don't know if Levi's happy now or if he's sweating too, because Levi wanted the game to end for sure, but the amount of actions that people have been taking and the amount of cards that people have been playing, while Levi just has to sit there, and now he really just has to sit there and hope that what he's done has been enough.
It's going to be okay. Mega credits for each Earth tag you have. It's not mega credit production even, so it's not going to have a big impact now on the game, but it's going to have another victory point in his pocket. Very
or
good.
will it though? He's moving in on that banker.
Oh, maybe.
If Jake could take the banker away from Calvin, that would be devastating to Calvin's chances, and also let Jake have 15 points at the bottom, because he has Thermalist, he has the Builder, and
I don't think I've ever seen somebody pass and then have, I don't know, it's got to be at least
so many
4 turns now.
And this is huge.
Maybe 5.
This is exactly what Jake was hoping for. This is exactly what Jake was pushing for. He's making a play for that banker award.
6.
Oh, fantastic.
6 is 8.
He gets 1 money production for everybody's space tag, which at the end of the game, when people have played
1 money production per space tag in play. Oh my goodness.
So he just got a 9 income bump for that. Maybe more. I think it was closer to 12. Because whatever Robert had.
And who funded that one? Was it
That was
Calvin?
Calvin who funded it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
said nobody would catch him, and
Calvin is hating life again. I feel bad for Calvin at this point.
Calvin has had a tough run because of
Yes.
that mare play early on by Levi, and then now this banker contention by Jake. It's worth noting too that Robert also isn't on the milestone board or has funded an award too. That's going to be tough for Robert.
Right.
Because those points, 5 points is such a huge swing, right? But Robert does have some point card. I think Antony is clearly has the most points in cards.
Yeah, if you consider the pets,
Yeah.
he absolutely has the most. And
And you see Antony again just sells one card for $1 and passes it over. He wants to see, this is the end of the game, you want to go last. And Jake passes. Jake is done, so now it's a showdown between Antony and Robert for who gets to make the last plays of the game.
wow.
Production?
Oh,
Robert's saying exactly that. He can't wait him out any longer.
Bring it
I
on.
think that's the better one than money. I feel like it's gonna get me if I try to go for just up.
He's playing the very powerful robotic workforce, which can copy a brown building, so he can choose what track he wants to go up on.
oh yes.
Red.
Love this card. Not one of my favorites, but I love this card.
It's a great card, especially this late in the game when you're fighting for these awards.
Yep.
I think he went heat. He went up on his heat track to edge Antony out.
Standing up. Correct. Yes.
Robert just said he was getting dizzy standing up. That's to remind you that these players have been playing Terraforming Mars to the tune of 15 hours at this point. Sounds like a pretty good day, but a pretty
Sounds like a good day to
exhausting one
me.
as well.
But it's an exhausting day, especially when you're playing it at this level, when you're
Yeah.
concentrating this hard.
And all this
Kudos to them for being able to last it out and continue to be great sports about it.
Yeah.
it's something.
I was in bed for like 3 hours at this point, I think. Didn't this end in the wee hours of the morning?
Yeah, this one was the last game to end, and then the semifinal games were drawn, and most of the players had an all-nighter practicing for their games in the semifinals
Amazing.
the next day.
Amazing. Yeah, I documented the draw for the semifinals and the finals and all that. Those are great little ceremonies that John hosted, and they were really fun to watch.
Again, Antony sells one card and sends it back to Robert, who passes, and then now it's just Antony, who only has actions left. Oh, you hear him saying he didn't want Robert to go up on heat. So maybe the waiting out didn't, if he had made a bigger play for heat before, but he probably didn't have the cards to definitively secure his spot in that Thermalist award. Which is why you wait out your opponents so that you can hopefully squeak in while they've passed.
Yep. He's really taking his time thinking
Yeah.
on this one.
Oh, you
Wonder?
have to. It's the last
Yeah.
plays of the game,
This
right?
is the last play, right? His
His plays
turn
are the
is
last.
probably the
plays.
last, or he can
Yeah.
take another turn if he still has plays.
Yeah. Playing wave power, getting
Victory
himself
point.
a victory point, and a cheap one too. That only costs him $5.
More energy if he needs it. Ooh, he's going to lose.
He's losing heat. He's giving up the battle for Thermalist. He cannot. He's determined that he cannot get in even second place in Thermalist, so he's using that heat.
I just saw that.
to get
So he's probably
animals.
gonna grab animals.
Yeah,
Can
he grabbed
does
the
he have an
animals.
animals card? You
Yeah,
can put him on
his
the pets
pets.
card.
You can put on the
You
pets
can put him on the
card.
pets card. Absolutely.
I shouldn't have passed
I don't know,
the
I
AGT.
think
That was a disaster.
I've been counting the scores. I think.
I think it's you.
I
I shouldn't have passed
Oh,
the
you're
AGT.
Levi.
Yeah, you can hear
He
the
says,
players
I think
discussing
you won,
it.
Antony. I should not have passed.
I need another count.
Let's produce
Two of those.
Yes, we need to produce.
So they're going through the final
Okay.
stages of the game.
So-
Produce plants.
Let's
So-
listen in.
Produce power and heat. I don't think anybody can convert.
Nobody. Oh, he can convert.
I know.
So the last part of the game is you do one more
So
production,
nobody can do it.
and you can spend greenery,
Um,
plants rather, to create greenery.
banker's already set, but
And then the game is over,
The
and you
third
do
was
final
the
score.
first and second.
And nobody it can produce greenery, so they're just going to final
do
scoring.
the game, right? You're the star player this round, right? Yes. So we'll work our way this way. Thermalist. If you have anything in your energy, we'll go ahead and move over. What are we going to do? 5. Okay. Yes. All right. So who gets the 5?
We need to get the money before, just in case there's a tie.
They're also talking about tiebreakers too, as well,
Good.
If we
because
did, we would.
just in
Well,
case.
We have to remember what.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
That's fine. We'll just finish the thermalist and then we get the money.
Okay, they're gonna do the awards first.
5 for black, so that goes. From
Yeah,
24
Jake, who
to
funded it,
34.
got the 5 points for Thermalist,
Is that right?
Yep, 2 points.
and then Robert,
Blue,
who committed to Heat,
30 to 30.
and Antony gave up those 2 points.
Do you want to go ahead and produce your money? So
I was
we have that up.
before that. I was at 30.
Plus 22. So 50.
I have 3 plus 39.
Right, it's 42. Yellow, you're at 28.
They're collecting all of their mega credits that they would have done during that final production phase, because it will be a tiebreaker in the end. So they're making sure they have it there in case there's a tie for one of the positions, or for the final.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's all that matters right now is the final. The winner here will move on to the semifinals, become crowned the Terraforming Mars World Series 2022 champion, and get that gorgeous custom Terraforming Mars ring, which, oh, they look so good.
Those rings and the bracelet for the final, for the absolute champion, are beautiful. They're gold and they're gorgeous.
So you hear them calculating the science tags. All Antony said was, "I have a lot," and everyone said, "Yeah, you get the 5."
He has a lot. We'll just go with that.
I assume you're the high? Yes.
Yeah, nobody was even close. I think 2 is there.
33, black is second. Is that right?
I have 24. I can
So
say.
you do?
Yeah.
How'd you increase it?
Sorry. 10, 14.
So black gets 2. Is that correct?
All right, Black only got 2 on the banker, so Calvin was still able to take the full 5 points
Black
on
gets 5
banker.
points.
Oh wow, okay.
Now they're scoring milestones. Black's getting his,
Green gets
and then
10 points.
here Levi gets his 10 points and jumps again ahead.
That's the jump. Those cubes off.
Yeah.
But there's still all points on the cards to be counted.
Okay.
Oh, and,
So
and
he's
they're
a-
also counting up right now the board position. So they get 1 point
Levi-
for
I'm
every.
sorry, go ahead.
They get 1 point for every forest. Is what they're doing right now.
4.
Levi is currently ahead before this position by 8. He's now getting
3, 4, 5.
the
Cities.
5 more.
Green cities. Here's a city. That's worth 2.
So they're doing all of Levi's points right now.
First, yeah.
2. Here's a green city.
I like to do it from the last person to the first, but in the end, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here's a green city.
In the end, it doesn't
1,
matter.
2, 3,
I think they're just doing it in
Sure.
player order
1, 2, 3, 4.
because Levi was first player for this generation.
With nothing, right? Next one over
Also,
Yeah, I put that off. Yep. Yellow, right? So greeneries, I see 1. I see 2. I see 3. I see 4. Is that correct? Those. We're going up 4 from 33 to 47. Yellow cities. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Here's where his city's come into play, but did he get enough green down?
Point. 2 points.
He's getting those adjacency bonuses now for the greenery next to his cities.
1, 2, 3.
He has 2 cities
3
that score 0 points,
Yep.
though, which is really going to hurt him.
other yellow cities. This is the pause. That's nothing, right?
And especially because they were close together, too. If Calvin was able to extend it
Black
1 generation, he could have run with it.
Let's see. The second one. Anything else? 2 for black. 1, 2. Black cities. This is worth 1. Right. I'm going to count the capital mass. Okay. 1, 2. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Capital gets
Anything
points
else
for
black
oceans
here?
and forests.
This is a nothing. Blue.
Wow, Calvin and Jake tied.
A granary. 2 granaries. 1, 2. Okay. So this is dump. This is dump.
It is going to be hard
2.
to get past
Yep.
Levi's points. He's
Yeah.
he's ahead by
This is nothing from red. This is
16. If I
Yeah.
counted that right,
Yeah,
over both Jake
city for 1.
and
yeah, Jake and Calvin.
But here we go.
Here's
So
the
let's.
city for 1.
So this is Antony's board,
For the board.
which is not much, but
And now it's for the
predicted
points.
him to be in second place. Let's see how smart I am here.
Green, do you have anything? 2.
Oh, I'm excited about this. I don't know
No,
about
they're doing
you.
resources.
This is
Cute.
so cool.
This is going to be close, yeah. They're just doing resources on cards right now.
Go zone, right here, yellow.
So, like the pets, etc.
1, 2, 3. Anything else? Clear cubes off. Black. 1 for this, 1 for this. 2 points for black. 1, 2. That's 7.
Whoa, 7 points for Robert,
7.
just with those predators.
Red.
2 is 8.
8 points for pets. Is that right?
Only 8 points for
8
pets. I thought
points.
he had more.
8 points for pets.
Okay.
Thought he.
Well, it's all based around the cities, too, so.
Then everything else, right? You know what you have, Green, let's say. 2 points. total.
So now they're calculating scores on the cards. Levi only has 2 points in cards
Okay.
because of that -1. He had that -1 that we played a little bit earlier.
He's
The biomass
He's
combustors.
15 points ahead right now. Can it be overcome? I don't know.
6
I don't know.
48 to 54.
That's it. That's Jake's score. Jake is not here.
13.
Oh, Calvin's counting up that big card with his cities. Looks like Robert's score is dropped in now. 58 for Robert.
So 4 points. 11, 49, get you 60.
11 points. Calvin currently in second
Calvin
place.
jumping into second place right now, but we have not heard
And
from
now
Antony.
it all comes down to Antony. It's going to be either Antony or Levi being crowned as the champion. It all comes down to all those points that Antony has been doing the Chad strategy from here on out. Antony's saying, "I think you got me."
12.
Antony said that?
So face value 2.
Yeah, he said, "I think you got me," as he's adding it.
15, 16,
Right?
16, 17, 19, 20.
20 points.
20 points on cards.
Let's see if he's got any more.
He's still looking. He's going to create a few more.
I think I just see 20, right?
Oh
Just has
my
20,
god, he's one
which puts
behind.
Anthony
Oh
at 63.
My god.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow, very nice. Yeah.
Holy.
That makes
Yeah.
Levi Moreno, playing the Mining Guild in green, the World Series of Board Gaming Terraforming
Wow.
Mars champion. That is an amazing, amazing
Go win
finish.
for us. Yes.
What a game. Did you just hear that? They said go win for us.
Oh, that's great.
I love that because Levi is heading into the semifinals and they're all taking pictures of the board and they're saying, you know
play
what?
the money one. Don't do the heat.
Wow.
That was the
Oh
2
yeah, you can
points.
hear
2
them
points,
talking
and
this
then
post discussion.
5 plants was just another 2-point
Oh,
play.
that was a
Yeah, I
great
lost
rate.
4 points.
Oh,
Just
okay.
2 actions. Yeah.
Wow, Antony would have had it if Robert had gone for money. and try to get the money. And if Calvin hadn't targeted his plants, he would have been able to make those 2 points up and would have been able to come out on top. It was that close.
I really think he did a stealth strategy in a lot of ways. He just was not showing that he had strength. I mean, people realized he was getting some victory point cards and he was getting, the lots of pets, but he was not on the terraforming track at all.
Yeah. It's so wild to see. I thought Antony was out of it. I thought he was out of it completely because I wasn't factoring in all of those points that you can get from those cards. That is just wild.
By the way,
what a finish.
Who predicted that Levi was going to win and Antony was coming in second? Who is that?
I believe it was neither of us at the very beginning. We put our predictions in, but Levi smashed both of those predictions out of the water. Wow, that was a close game. I'm still just blown away, and I'm just realizing now the fact that Levi had passed meant that he wasn't a target. So when Calvin played that virus card, which took away those plants, because Levi had already used up all of his actions, he had to target the second place competitor, which ended up being Antony, in order to try to push himself forward. And that also that also was a decider of the game. There were so many factors there.
Such an amazing ending. So much depth of strategy. The game was played at an absolute masterclass. I'm blown away by it. And I hope everybody out there who's watching this enjoyed it as much as we liked watching it and commentating on it, because that was a great game.
That was a great game. That was a friggin' blast to watch. And everybody played so well in their respective strategies.
Absolutely.
Lower score than we were expecting as well. We both thought it would be higher 70s, but I suppose also when you're playing at that high level and you have the drafting aspect and the hate drafting aspect of it that some of the players were talking about, that really helps bring it down, especially with 5 players and playing with Prelude. But just what an ending.
It was amazing.
To a really exciting game.
Yeah. So I think that's a wrap for us right now. So thank you all for watching this. The World Series of Board Gaming Terraforming Mars Ring Event Final, which goes to Levi. He is the champion for 2023. I'm Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming.
And I'm Chris George.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.